We are tonight's entertainment.
You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Excellent!
Hello everyone, this is Trey. You are listening to the Movie Mania podcast, and we are here to talk about podcasty stuff and all that other stuff, and I have with me Bandit Incorporated for the first time in God only knows how long, because he's been working a real job, which sucks. Hello, Bandit and Trey. Hello. I am here in London, and it's wonderful. It's so good to have Bandit back. Oh, hello, guys. Hi, guys. It's just so great to be here again.
Oh, my God, I'm crying.
How was that, Trey? It was like...
Why do I sound like I'm about to pop out a chimney?
This could be like he's in Mary Poppins. Oh, my God.
I know you said you had a sore throat, Trey, so I was just trying to help out and do the intro for you.
Come on, guys, let's go fly a kite.
Let's play some
up to the highest heights.
I like how I sound like a wrestler announcer, like I'm like in the WWE. Apparently,
it's on.
Like I'm the Rock or something. Even though I'm pretty sure I have the highest voice out of all three of us. All right, guys. Hello. This is the Movie Mania podcast 2-year special episode. Was it 75? I think. And we have Bandit back here.
Yes.
To join us.
Sorry, guys. I know there's been so many messages asking where I am. Yeah, I've just been trying to get started back in my job. I actually have three jobs now to make up for YouTube strangling us all on YouTube. But so I have YouTube as well as 2 other jobs, and it does suck. Yeah.
Yeah. No, hey man, it's the world. The world sometimes it likes to bite, sometimes it'll give you a hug. This week we'll be breaking down the fall movie preview if you're in the northern hemisphere. I guess it's the summer if you're in the southern hemisphere. The movie's coming out between August and December, or September and December. I'm tired. Along with we'll be doing some homework stuff and answering your listener questions, all the typical stuff. How have you guys been doing? Bandit especially. It's been 2 years? How you been doing?
I've been all right. I'm very much out of practice, though. It feels like because it's been so long since I've done a show like this or properly reviewed a movie that's come on. I've kind of gone through this phase where I'm like, I don't know if I'm okay with reviewing movies anymore. I was like, I always just feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over. Then I thought, no, you must engage the nitpickiness. That's what makes it different for each one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess this officially makes you our guest, huh? You're like an Alicia Malone or Mr. Sunday Movies, where every 9 months or so we'll just get somebody crazy on the show. Yeah.
Are we still doing the swapping the art thing each week? Because we must be all the way through them by now, yeah?
Funny enough, we just ran out 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
yeah.
So we're finally using the guy who actually won the competition.
Yeah, I was telling Chilby, we're finally using the actual artwork that won a year ago.
It was such a long game, wasn't it?
Yeah, but now they're happy
really
because they're the official art. If we ever have a T-shirt, God bless our souls, that would be what's on the T-shirt.
Yeah. Related to that, I can let everyone know, the guy who won that competition, he's now actually designing a book cover for my ebook, which I'm going to put up just as soon as he's done designing the cover. Oh. He told me, though, he's like, I can rush it, but then it costs more, but if you just let me take my time, it'll cost less. So I'm like, take all the time you need.
Is it one of those, if it takes a year, does it mean that he'll owe you money? The longer it takes.
I was how long for $1?
That's right.
How long you got?
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Chilby? How are you doing?
No, things are good. Currently ramping up pre-production of my short. We start next Monday, so about 7 or 8 days from depending on when this gets put out onto the ether, into the internet.
It'll be out in about 3 months.
Okay. So I hope you enjoyed the film, guys. I think it went really well.
Yeah.
But so that's basically been preoccupying almost all of every waking moment of my life, and my terrible storyboards. And my terrible drawings.
Truly, stick figures and arrows. That's all you need. That's what I used. Or if you don't want to draw anything, use like models, like Lego figures. That's what I used.
That was my suggestion for you, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Bouncing around, like.
Just a little marionettes, make it really complicated.
Because I've been out the loop, Trey. Trilby, sorry. See, I have been out the loop. So is it
Trilby?
Trilby. So has this been So is this another short, like based off your dad's police history, or?
No, but I might do that in November. But the short is actually the film that I pitched during the campfire episode last October. Oh. It's the sleepwalking short.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's actually happening this month. And
when does that come out? I want to see it.
We start filming next Monday, so I don't have an actual release date. But depending on how happy we are with the finished product, we may try and do like a festival rollout. We're aiming to get it finished for December 5th, because then we can enter it into the Manchester Film Festival. But we'll see how it goes. But once it's finished, I'll probably just send you guys. I'll upload it onto YouTube unlisted, and you guys can watch it if you want. But I don't know. I don't have a solid release date yet. But the crew's basically all assembled. We shoot in a week, and it should all hopefully come together. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. That's good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and also just I know it's a shameless plug, but shout out to my patrons who are partially funding the project, and they also get behind the scenes stuff.
Yes. Shout out to all the patrons. The reason anybody does anything.
They are technically executive producers, so I kind of have to give them a shout out.
I can't wait for the end credits. It's like executive producer, 18 people.
Yes. But I actually did because I sent Trey. Because Trey, I sent you the script after recording the last episode.
Yeah, and I read it immediately.
Then a few days later, I get a message on Facebook. I completely forgot what you were responding to. I just saw the message saying, "Well fucking done." Yeah. I was like, "What did I do?"
Well, because I think I had read it that night, and I woke up and I read it again, and I was like, you know what? I gotta make sure he knows how I feel about this. Like, what's the best three words to describe how the script is? It's great. I'm really excited.
It could be derogatory. It could be like, "Oh, well fucking done." You got
it sarcastic. You don't know.
Yeah.
Without an emoji there, you can't really tell online.
Exactly.
Oh my god! I think Sony's permanently ruined that word, huh? Okay, yeah. Like, in case you guys are wondering, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast yet, like with the recording. My throat is sore and hoarse because I'm the assistant directing our school musical. We're doing Beauty and the Beast. And so I had to wrangle 200 actors that were auditioning to be in the show. And then we had to do callbacks and all that tiring nonsense. And then I spent all weekend writing. And then I went and saw it, and I screamed a little, so I'm just hoarse and tired. But I'm here, guys. Yeah.
So Trey, are you a rusher or are you a dragger?
You have to slap me and find out, Trey. I'll be honest.
Yep.
Well, there goes all our Tumblr fans. Okay. You know what, guys? Let's get to the movie news.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. Cannonball!
All right, guys. So this is the movie news portion of the show. In case we talk about the movie news that has occurred over the last week. And for starters, I guess the big story is that finally, after much pleading from me and then much complaining from me for 2 years, Jurassic World director Colin Trevorrow has stepped down from his next project, Star Wars Episode 9, and I could not be more happy. What do you guys think about this?
I think we can basically say it was fired, right? I think this was...
I hope he was fired, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this was a case of Trevorrow willingly stepping down. I think that Kathleen Kennedy was just willing to show him the door. It's not like the Phil Lord and Chris Miller situation where within a couple of days we had a replacement, we had all of the news and the rumours and the gossip. It's been relatively under wraps for the past couple of days, apart from like was it Vulture or Hollywood Reporter? They had sources saying that Colin Trevorrow was difficult to work with and he was egotistic because he'd made Jurassic World, he was on top of the world, and then and that was his like one major success, and he kind of let that get to his head, and that made it a very difficult working relationship between him and Lucasfilm. But that's just speculation and rumours at this point. We don't really know for sure.
Maybe he demanded microwaves in like every room, like Tom Cruise does.
Yes, but Tom Cruise has got a
Really?
much longer career to demand. That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chili taught me that story with like a few
Yes,
months ago.
for
But
the
I'm
uninitiated, I was working on a film and the security guard told me that he'd recently been working on The Mummy because that was filming in London, and he said that Tom Cruise has got a microwave in every room of his trailer. And I didn't bother to ask a follow-up question.
Well, I'm sure when he does ask, he asks in a very passionate but still firm and polite way.
Just like Tom Cruise, in a weird asymmetrical face kind of way, where like his tooth is off,
Keeping
So
eye
what's
contact just a little bit too long, that kind of way.
Yeah, he's like if the Uncanny Valley was a human, it would be Tom Cruise. You know what I mean? Just uncomfortable.
So, Colin Trevorrow.
Right, Jurassic World,
So College of
episode 9.
It's probably just as well that he stepped down because, like, I mean, he was the one who sort of put in the idea of velociraptors being used by the military, and that's what he wanted to go with the sequel. But that was sort of the number one thing that a lot of people complained about with Jurassic World, apart from the whole remake thing. So, if him going means they're going to change that to something else, then I'm fine with that.
He's not very good at character, as I learned in Jurassic World. And I'm not just saying that because I know, he's he's not only was the director, he also co-wrote the screenplay. And the reason I hate Jurassic World so much is because it just feels really hollow and empty, and I don't want that anywhere near my Star Wars. It's as simple as that.
I like Jurassic World. I think out of us three, I'm probably its biggest defender, but it's a film that I don't think has a really unique vision. Like, replace Colin Trevorrow with almost any up-and-coming indie filmmaker, and it's the same movie. I don't think it has much of an identity, apart from, aping Spielberg. And then when we have The Book of Henry, which I've yet to see, which is his latest film, which was a big passion project, which was Colin Trevorrow's baby, for lack of a better term, and it completely tanked in terms of critical opinion, and also at the box office didn't do well. So I don't think Book of Henry had much to do with him being booted off episode 9, but it may actually just give us a look into Trevorrow as a filmmaker, as a creative person, and maybe they didn't like what they saw.
This is like a Fanforstic. What's his name? Josh Trank was kicked off Boba Fett, which is the big rumor, because of what he did with Fanforstic, whether it be on set or his personality as a person, as a filmmaker. And I think if it was an ego thing, I don't blame him. At the time, Jurassic World was like, what, the 3rd highest grossing movie of all time? Yeah. It's like the 5th at this point, but it's still like the top 5 like highest grossing movies ever. You know what's number 8, guys? The remake of Beauty and the Beast. How is that even a thing? I don't know if you guys saw Beauty and the Beast, but that movie's awful. It's just the worst.
It's not awful, but it doesn't add anything that the original didn't do 10,000 times better.
I hated it, but that's beyond the point. I'm just happy that I was having a rough day, and then I read that news, and then I had a good evening. I was just really happy and pleased with myself. My question is, who are they going to get to replace him, and is it still coming out in May of 2019? That's less than 2 years away.
I think they're going to keep that release date. I think that's not an issue. If they can still get the Han Solo movie on the same release date, despite them firing the directors 3/4 of the way.
But they had most of Han Solo's shot, didn't they?
But they're going to be reshooting it almost entirely. Or at least
is that why Donald Glover's not because Donald Glover apparently was done shooting, so like he doesn't have a big role anymore. Is that
I know that Donald Glover came back, but there was a guy in the Han Solo movie who has just been dropped from the project completely because he couldn't come back. And I forgot his name, but he was replaced by Paul Bettany.
Oh. Okay.
And Paul Bettany took over his role, and they reshot his scenes with Paul Bettany in the role.
That's weird. It was a black guy, and then I won't bring in politics to that. Okay.
I may have that wrong, but I'm sure Paul Bettany has something to do with the Star Wars film.
God, I hope not. I mean, I had nothing against Paul Bettany, but I mean, they had a black guy in the cast, and then they fired the director, got the black guy booted off the film.
This isn't even the first time Paul Bettany's done this. I mean, the Vision was meant to be played by a purple-faced person, and they got Paul Bettany anyway, just put him in makeup, and purple people are just completely thrown out of the loop again. It's completely unfair.
I like to imagine there's one purple person on the planet and they're actually offended by that. They're like, yeah, he's right.
I was meant to be the Vision. Anywho, Ryan Johnson seems like an obvious choice, but these Star Wars films are a massive undertaking. Will he want to, come January when they actually start properly working on Episode 9, will Ryan Johnson want to immediately jump back into such a massive project?
He just finished the press release for Last Jedi, and people are going to be asking him all the questions now, like once the movie's out and nothing ever gets answered again. He's going to be like, everyone's going to start asking him all the theories, and everyone's going to know, what's going to happen to Yoda since Yoda's in it, because Yoda's obviously in the movie, and I'm just saying. And he's going to be like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. And like, how is it working with Hayden Christensen? Because he's also going to be in it. Otherwise, why would they be selling Anakin toys all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Speculation time.
Did you hear about sorry to derail where you were going to take this,
that's all this podcast.
Welcome back, Bandit.
Yeah, that's all this podcast is.
Well, I heard that the guy who's playing, on Star Wars related news, the guy who's playing Han Solo in the upcoming thing, that Steven Spielberg cast him as Han Solo because he met him at a bris. And I heard that and I was like, I'd love to be the guy who gets to be able to tell Mel Gibson that. Be like, hey, Mel, guess how he got his job? At a bris.
What's a bris?
It's like a Jewish celebration. So it'll be like, hey, Mel. They do.
Oh, see, this joke makes a lot more sense now. I'm sorry.
And they're just like, if you give him a few drinks beforehand.
I didn't know the narrator was Jewish.
Like, I told you! They control everything.
Oh gosh!
I may have to cut that. I'm just going to leave something.
But I know when people are when they say that they want to cast, like, get a new director with diversity in mind, which I respect the notion of, but then they name the only 3 female directors that they actually know. It is fun. Like, we get a female director. Okay, name more than 3, please. But Ava DuVernay, people have been throwing that name out. Which I think would be a good choice because she's in-house with Disney at the moment. She's doing A Wrinkle in Time.
Which is a terrible book and it does not look good. We didn't talk about that last time.
Trailer
looks awful.
Trailer looked all right, but I do not know the book or the source material.
Looks terrible. Had to read at school. Hated it.
But Wrinkle in Time comes out in March, I believe. Yeah. So if she may have to start directing Episode 9 while she's doing the end of post-production for Wrinkle in Time. That might just not work out. But it wouldn't surprise me if Disney went in-house, and not even just Star Wars in-house, like J.J. Abrams or Ryan Johnson, just someone who, like, if it's a Pixar director or a Marvel or etc. But yeah, it's I feel a bit bad for Trevorrow. Like, obviously, I think he's not the best choice. He wouldn't have been on my shortlist, but he still did invest a lot of time. He wrote several drafts, and although writer Jack Thorne in August was reported to be rewriting the script because Disney was not happy with it. So it feels like the writing's kind of been on the wall for Colin Trevorrow. He's not tweeted anything Star Wars related since about early to mid-August. So I feel like this might have actually been a long incoming announcement, and maybe Lucasfilm predicted that the story was about to leak, which is why they announced it before they actually had a replacement director in place. Maybe they thought the press was going to leak the story and they wanted to get ahead of it, which is my conspiracy theory guess.
Wow.
Well, I agree with the tinfoil theory. I think it's funny.
Put this power in your head. The government will stop tracking you.
I think
they do control everything. They do. Just sorry to get back to that. Hey, is it just me, or are you guys a little bit worried about The Last Jedi? Because I kind of could feel that there's a lot of nerd hatred bubbling beneath
That's the only thing I'm not worried about is The Last Jedi. I'm worried about Han Solo. I'm worried about Obi-Wan. I'm worried about
everything else Star Wars.
Yeah,
related.
Everything else. Even Rebels isn't looking that great right now, except Last Jedi.
But what about that video of, like, Mark Hamill crapping all over the movie? You know, there's like a compilation video of every time he's talking crap about the movie.
I've heard and I've read things where he's like, I can't believe they took Luke Skywalker in this direction. But I think, and he's gone back, he's clarified by saying what he actually meant when he said that. And how people like to take things out of context.
I'll tell you what. If I can find that video, I'll send it to you, because Mark Hamill, he just doesn't give a damn. He's just like, someone goes, I reckon you're going to be the best part in the movie. He goes, yeah, I get the best dad award. Wink. Just like, thanks, Mark. Really great.
You know what that tells me? he has a big role and he dies because there's no way. Like, that's why the Rogue One guy didn't get in more trouble, because they all die at the end. So it didn't matter.
Oh yeah,
I guarantee you Luke dies at the end of this movie. That's why episode 9.
That's another thing he said. Everyone's like, well, how's this going to affect the movie going forward? And he goes, oh, that's not going to be my problem. It's going to be that other actor's problem.
That's not going to be my problem. Oh yeah. He's so done with the franchise. I love it. I love how Mark Hamill's become this burly old man.
So he might as well just look into the camera and say, "I'm dead, excited about The Last Jedi," and then wink.
I think my theory is going to come true. I think Rey's going to kill him. Oh, I'm so excited. I think that's how episode 8's going to end. Rey's going to turn to the dark side and kill.
It's going to be carried on by. There's the guy they're bringing into the movie who's like, what's the actor's name?
What's he in?
Oh, I can't remember. But,
is he a Latin guy? Is he Benicio del Toro?
No, well, I was going to say he's the same actor who plays the bad guy in Doctor Strange, but then I thought, no, wait, he was in Rogue One. It's a different actor who plays a bad guy and everything. Anyway, let's not get down in the weeds in that. But he says, oh, no, that guy's going to have to carry it from here on. So I was like, oh.
I think Mark Hamill's just playing coy. He's just got a sense of humor.
He is also a big nerd,
I think now
he might do that on purpose.
Now that Carrie Fisher has died, her ghost is like taunting his brain, and he's starting to pick up on her.
Her force
weirdness, because he's just talking like she would,
Yeah, he's got to carry on the sass, and Harrison Ford is like disappear off the face of the planet. He's like, oh, and I'll be back in Blade Runner. Oh, goodbye. And so Mark Hamill wants to pick up all the Star Wars wit. Look, apparently also Rian Johnson and Mark Hamill have both said not to watch any other trailers, as if not to be spoiled by anything. Okay. I don't know exactly what that means. I'm nervous though. Like that's the only thing I'm nervous about with Last Jedi is the marketing campaign. Does that mean that they already know that Lucasfilm's going to show too much? Does that mean we've already seen too much? I'm confused. I'm nervous.
I think if Disney are going to have Rian Johnson directing Episode 9, they'll want to drop a big trailer, and then at the end it will say, this guy's also directing Episode 9. You love the trailer, then you'll love Episode 9. Maybe they're waiting. Maybe they're waiting for that announcement.
Why would they? It's like you announce the sequel in the trailer for the first movie. I'm like, man, that's really ballsy. Oh man, it's like watching a trailer.
That worked out so well.
Yeah, it's like watching a trailer for Prisoner of Azkaban. It's like, be back for Order of the Phoenix. Like, wait a minute, that's a couple movies ahead.
But I think if they announce someone like Ridley Scott, then I'm definitely going to be incredibly worried about the future of the franchise.
They would do that. It's gonna be someone they've already brought up. I think it should be Spielberg, just to really complete this whole mess of this train of like people dropping out and not being able to direct. Just give it to Spielberg. He'd do it. He's been wanting to do Star Wars for like 40 years.
Yeah, it's like technically 50% of all the Star Wars directors have been fired. And if you count Phil Lord and Chris Miller as two directors, then 50% of the Star Wars directors have been fired.
Well, I mean, they can make that even bigger. I mean, Gareth Edwards wasn't technically fired, but he was kicked out of the editing room like 4 months before the movie came out. So he was pretty much...
I just got this image of the editing room. Kathleen Kennedy's there watching Rogue One and is not happy, and she's like, Gareth, can you... Oh, I just left a pen outside. Will you just go get it? He walks out, they lock the room, and then he's just at the door going, come on, guys.
It's like the James Woods and Family Guy, like, ooh, piece of candy. They just lock him in a box.
Hey, Gareth, there's a Godzilla sequel over there. Ooh, Godzilla sequel.
Ooh, Godzilla sequel.
Ooh, piece of candy.
No, but isn't the Death Note guy doing the Godzilla sequel?
The Death Note guy's doing it.
Yeah. Oh man, it is an odd time to be alive and be a movie fan. In other news, Patty Jenkins. I mean, Wonder Woman 2 could be great, or they can give her Star Wars. That's all I'm saying. She's like right there. She'd be great at it. She knows how to do emotion really well, and this has got to be an emotional finale, unless you're Mark Hamill.
Well, the good thing about that is that they'll be doing Star Wars movies until the end of time, basically. So if you don't do a Star Wars movie now, you can do it in a few years.
Well, I heard they were taking a break between 9 and 10. That might just be making that up, but I heard that was the contention because they apparently don't have a plan per se post Episode 9. I've also heard nothing else of the Obi-Wan movie since, 2-3 weeks ago, was that then? When it was like, we have a director?
See, that was never an official announcement, though. That was something that was reported.
The movie wasn't even an official announcement yet. Like, it's not on the Lucasfilm website, the last time I checked.
No, it's something that supposedly leaks and sources came forward, and like well-substantiated sources, but it was nothing. There's nothing approaching a first-party source yet.
Yeah, and so everyone's doing videos and like, who do you want to see the Obi-Wan movie? Let's do an Obi-Wan movie. I'm like, and meanwhile I tweeted, I was like, nothing's been confirmed yet, so what are we getting excited about?
Yeah, it's fun to speculate, but it is also good to have that in mind as well, that it's not completely 100% official.
I feel like the boring dad at Christmas. I'm like, now hold on, we gotta do this in sequential order. Open your presents in an orderly manner. Now pick up your trash and put it in the trash. Like I'm the boring dad at Christmas.
No. Save the wrapping paper for next year.
Save the paper. No, give me the ribbons. Yep.
I gotta say, I am interested in seeing that Obi-Wan movie though. What's it going to be
absolutely.
about? Oh, yeah. Is it just going to be him sitting in his hut the entire movie?
Just do Logan.
Obi-Wan.
Is it going to be
just
like
it's
going to be him in his hut like Home Alone, you know? Bunch of Jedi hunters break into kill him, but he just sets traps everywhere.
Yeah. The sand people are going to come in and try and take his house. They're going to be like the sandy bandits.
Or it's like the beginning of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where he's in the house before he goes out. It's just like that for the entire movie. He's just wandering
Obi-Wan's
around the house.
faking a flu to get away from Tatooine.
Yeah.
Like Qui-Gon's like, Obi-Wan, you need to go watch Luke, and Obi-Wan's like, yeah, but I'm sick, I can't do it tonight.
I'm sorry, sand people. I can't come to the door right now.
Sand people show up, he walks out with his shotgun, he's like, get off my lawn.
No, don't make it Logan. Make it Gran Torino with Obi-Wan, and instead of Asian people, it's sand people, and it's all an allegory.
A sand kid that tries to steal his speeder.
Yeah, and at the end, he has to go stop a rival. He has to go stop the Hutts, and instead of getting shot, he has to go stop a rival Hutt gang, and suddenly they pull out a gun at a blaster and shoot him.
I'm going back to that the Home Alone idea, and a sand person's coming up the stairs. He throws a paint can down. It's like, Houdini!
No, it's probably going to be Logan with Obi-Wan. It's essentially what they're going to do now. Because Logan's the kind of the standard now for old guy that was once really cool and now has to save somebody. Yeah. It's going to be Logan with Obi-Wan, and instead of X-24, just put in Darth Maul.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is they could just do Darth Maul, just give him robot legs and make it he comes back to kill him, or
yeah. Well, in the canon, Darth Maul and Obi-Wan have already fought. Again, post Phantom Menace. I'm not just talking Clone Wars. I'm talking, I think, in Rebels as well. He kills him. Obi-Wan kills him in a beautiful way.
It was a good fight, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was over so quickly, but I'm like, of course it is, because Obi-Wan's way better than he would ever be.
Yeah.
I love that so much. Anyways, and then you see the little baby Luke running across the desert. I got emotional. I won't lie, I got very emotional.
I'd love it if they made it about that, but before they fight at the end, maybe they could do it that for some reason they have to, fight a mutual enemy briefly. So maybe they could, kind of join forces a bit and then go, but we still have to kill
do something like, you guys have seen...
Great.
You guys have seen Heat, right? Just do kind of something like Heat with Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. Maybe have to have a scene where they have to sit down and talk about something. I'm down for that.
Yeah,
Reservoir One.
That'd be great.
Reservoir, yeah. In reality, it's probably just going to be a generic Western action film with some lightsaber fights at the end. But I'm sure it's going to be fine.
Well, that's pretty much what Star Wars is.
Can you imagine if Colin Trevorrow is put onto the Obi-Wan movie?
Oh, man. Oh, he would go and cast Chris Pratt he'd get his boy Jake Johnson, whatever his name is, from the nerdy guy from Jurassic World as Obi-Wan, because that's his favorite actor of all time. God, Jurassic World's such a piece of
where's my
movie.
Anthology movie of the Palpatine origin? Where's that?
Oh man,
I want to see that.
I'd pay a lot of money to see Palpatine.
Even if you just read the book of it, just do that exactly. Because that book is so good. Make it just like that. And get Michael Fassbender to play a young Palpatine. Yeah. That'd be great.
I'm on the Tom Hiddleston train, but Fassbender would not be a bad get. I kind of want...
Tom Hiddleston
I want Fassbender for... I want Fassbender for Thrawn. That's kind of why I don't want him to cast in anything else. I kind of want Fassbender to be a live-action Thrawn because he'd be perfect.
How about for the Obi-Wan movie, we get Kurt Russell, and it's a recreation of the Thing.
May I stop real quick and say,
it's the Thing, but it's in the desert.
Anyone listening currently, there are time codes listed down below. If you guys don't care about Star Wars, I apologize. I forgot to say that at the start of the ship. Time codes down below. If you just want to skip ahead. Oh, that poor sap out there doesn't care about Star Wars. Like, oh, what are they talking about? Thrawn, Palpatine, what does any of this stuff mean?
Well, who is Snoke?
He's just some guy, unfortunately. He should have been Darth Plagueis, but no, they don't want to do that anymore.
This guy, you know?
Have they confirmed it won't be Plagueis?
I don't know if they've confirmed it, but I mean, he doesn't even look like Plagueis. Then again, they could change the canon, but he doesn't look like him.
He's in canon.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, come on, you got to make him Plagueis.
Yeah. I mean, even Bandit put Plagueis. Even Bandit put him in his fan fiction. Someone's got to use him. I mean, he's still there.
And like he's probably the only Sith you could bring in that we would think of as on the same level as the Emperor, because he's the guy who trained the Emperor. So I mean,
like if you brought back the Emperor, we'd all be angry. If you brought back Vader or whatever for some reason, that'd be. I'm telling you though, we're going to see Ghost Anakin, because we were going to see Ghost Anakin in Force Awakens. Yeah. Fun fact: if you learn about that in the Art of the Force Awakens, they were going to do a young or Ghost Anakin / Vader, kind of like gray Jedi Ghost
with a half robot face. Yeah.
Yeah. Which would have been awesome.
As weird as as weird as it sounds, I would actually cheer if we saw.
Well, it's very Star Wars, isn't it? That's something that Star Wars would do.
Again, I would be, even though we all
I'd
hated
clap.
It.
I'd be super excited because I'm like finally everyone understands that it wasn't Hayden Christensen's fault. God bless. It was not his fault.
That'd be good because like your generation grew up not hating the prequels, so you guys would cheer. Even I would.
We all love the prequels. I don't, but that reminds me, Charlie. We're gonna have to do the prequels sometime soon because when Last Jedi comes out.
I do recall.
I'd like to formally announce my resignation from the podcast.
I do recall
this marks the last episode of the show because I'm not going to find anybody else to help you with this.
Hey, we made an unofficial deal. If I had to suffer through Harry Potter, you guys have to suffer through the prequels again.
I've gotten tweets and comments recently about someone being like, "So since you made Bandit sit through Harry Potter, they're going to make you sit through the prequels again, right?"
Yeah, I got those too. That's what reminded me.
I've not watched Attack of the Clones for about 12 years.
So we'll watch those and we'll do the prequels. I don't know when, but we'll do them.
Or we could forget about the prequels and just do the Star Wars Holiday Special.
I'm never watching the Star Wars Holiday Special.
It's on YouTube.
I'd rather watch.
You can just watch it on YouTube.
I'd rather watch Jar Jar Steppenwolf for 10 hours than watch the Star Wars Holiday Special.
I think it'll be fun for a Christmas Movie Mania special.
Yeah.
Fine.
Right, okay, Trey doesn't even have to come on. Bandit, me and you'll do it.
All right.
Thank God.
Happy Life Day, guys.
If you two can edit it and you two send me, I'll post it, and that's all I'll need.
Stir whip, stir whip.
That thing's like, what, 2.5 hours? I'm not sitting through that.
Yeah, it's like half an hour, isn't it?
It's an hour. It's long. It's long, isn't it?
I'll tell you what, Trey. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. We'll just take a page out of the Holiday Specials book, and we'll just replace you with just Wookiee with no subtitles the entire time. Because that's like 20 minutes of the Holiday Special is just Wookiees roaring at each other. So we'll just replace you with a Wookiee going.
Oh yeah, the Holiday Special's 2 hours long.
Bandit, your Wookiee sound is now my ringtone. I'm going to isolate the audio, and that's going to be my text on. I'm going to be sitting in class, and that's going to go off.
Actually, that'd be a good troll of our listeners if we go Star Wars Holiday Special, 2.5 hour episode, and we just
yeah,
it is 2.5 hours of Wookiee sound effects.
No, it's just a video of the Chewbacca mom. You guys seen the video with the mom of the Chewbacca mask?
I'm such a happy Chewbacca.
It's that audio for just 2.5 hours. Oh man. We would get so many dislikes. People would be so bad. Like, let's take a month off from the podcast and then upload that and make that the episode we come back with. Oh, happy 2 years, guys. Thanks for listening.
We could probably only get away with that if it was like April Fool's Day or something.
Yeah,
then it would be all right.
Well, unless you're like Rick and Morty, then upload an actual episode on April Fool's Day. Speaking of Rick and Morty, I believe we had some homework.
This week, each one of you has a homework assignment. Your homework is to listen to some real music, get inspired.
Is this your homework, Larry?
Down with homework?
All right, guys, this is the homework portion of the show in which we talk about things we've either assigned to see or just saw on our own. Trilby, so you have watched all of Rick and Morty. Bandit,
yes.
have you seen all of Rick and Morty, Bandit? Are you all caught up with the series so far?
Yes, I have. After you told me to watch it a while back, I binged the entire season, and I've been anxiously awaiting each
full
week
spoilers
with this new Rick
full
and Morty.
spoilers. Up to season 3, episode 6 of Rick and Morty.
That's all we physically can watch at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I think the newest episode's leaked already. I haven't watched it yet, but man,
which
guys,
episode is that? I want to make sure I don't give spoilers. What happens in that episode?
Rest and Relaxation was the last one I saw.
Yes, me too. Okay, good.
That was the one where it was like, let's get detoxified. Okay, Shelby, you go first because you're the one that we're continuing the cycle from last time. So what do you think, Shelby?
It's really good.
It's really good.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those shows that really makes the most of its 20-minute runtime. It feels so really complete, really well thought and fleshed out. Is not afraid to just go for really oddly emotional moments where it needs
kill off its main characters.
Yeah. I'll really upset the status quo, particularly with the beginning of series 3. And there's what's the episode when there's Unity, which voiced by Christina Hendricks, and it ends with Rick attempting to commit suicide.
But he can't because he's too drunk, which I find kind of hilarious. Yeah,
and it's not afraid to go into the darker moments. I feel like Rick and Morty, despite being obvious parodies of Doc and Marty, and that's how they started, they still feel like their own fully fleshed out characters. I love all the voice cast. I think Justin Roiland is just superb in both roles. He's outstanding. Get some great guest roles as well. Even some of the smaller roles, like you get to Peter Serafinowicz as the random secret agent guy from Pickle Rick, and all of a sudden he just shows up for this completely weird tangent.
Yeah.
Like the episode just takes a complete right turn from what was already a right turn of an episode.
It goes from like this body horror pickle thing to like the like Die Hard, and it's really funny, and then becomes like this super like serious family drama where these people aren't solving their issue, just going to go drink about it, and and it works.
Yeah, it feels incredibly violent, and it also does have a complete affection and love for sci-fi. It's big idea concepts, even though some of them are completely plagiarized, like The Purge, but that's the whole point.
I love that. I love that just did an episode that was like, what if The Purge? I love that that's the synopsis of an episode.
I love it when they plagiarize stuff. That's great.
Yeah.
Because the premise was, it's evil Rick, it's evil Doc and Marty crossed with Farscape, was it? Or no, Sliders or something like that? What was
something I think RuneScape, maybe, I don't know, something a bit more obscure, where it's just like, what is this? What if this meant this?
No, the idea of actually, I think it might have been Sliders where they took it from. It was an old show, but that's where you jump from world to world, and every world is different. So they sort of combine those two things together. But what do you think? What do you think? Though maybe this is because I'm a little bit older. But shut up, Trey! Don't laugh. But
I was about to say, what are you, like 40 now?
No, not that old. I'm 35 still, I think.
No,
still.
Like I did my math wrong. Never mind. I won't say anything.
Yeah. But anyway, but it's like there's the whole nihilism thing of like Rick, and it's like it kind of feels like when you're. I'm like, I know it's just a show. I shouldn't read too much into it, but I'm like. It does kind of feel like the nihilism that people have when they're a teenager. And they're like, I don't believe in anything, man. I'm cool, man, because I don't believe in anything. But then when you get older, you're like, it's really not that cool. Okay, just shut up.
Well, Bandit, there's a whole channel called Wisecrack, and they do like breakdowns of this stuff and tackle down the psychological aspects of Rick and Morty. They have a whole podcast about it that's really fun. I recommend listening to it.
They're like nothing matters because we live in a world of infinite universes. in the fictional show. Yeah, but until a scientist proves that in real life, no, things kind of do matter.
Yeah, I also love one of my favorite quotes from Rick and Morty is, "Nothing matters. We're all just going to die. Let's go watch TV." Yeah, I love that. I love that quote so much. It describes the show perfectly.
I did like that that episode. Like, the moment where I officially fell in love with the show was when that ends with that musical bit when they abandon one world entirely and Morty's just looking around that everything's rebuilt. With that look on his face, that wide-eyed look of shock of, my God, nothing matters.
I can't remember. I think the moment I fell in love might have been, it's just a little moment. It's in episode 2. It's when Jerry pees on the furniture, and he's like, "How do you feel like peeing on your stuff?" And the dog goes over and goes, "Bad dog, bad dog." It's one of my favorite moments in the first season, and I don't know, that's the moment I was like, all right, this is the best show ever. And I just I binged it all in like a day because they're only 20 minutes piece, so I could knock them all out.
The episode that really got me on board, like I love the first 4 or 5 episodes, but the bit that just solidified it for me was in the Meeseeks episode.
Yes.
When
I just want to die.
That was the quote.
I'm not supposed to live this long.
Yeah, when
existence is paid.
When Jerry leaves, and Meeseeks is like, "I just want to die."
And like, there's this one guy, when Meeseeks is like 2 years old. He's like, "Your mistakes are your own business, old man." And like, "I'm Mr. Meeseeks. Look at me." I love that whole thing. He wrote me into this. Well, he wrote me into this. I love, and they're like that weird Southern accent they all have. They're like, "Oh, hey, I'm Mr. Meeseeks. Well, he wrote me into this." I love it. They're the best.
What about your short game? I'm with Meeseeks.
And this woman's like, "Oh God, what about your short game?" I saw a really funny picture, and it was a picture of the Mr. Meeseeks helping out a stormtrooper, and there was like 8 of them surrounded this one stormtrooper that just can't hit like a target on the wall. Oh man.
It's great that there's the episode when they put the interdimensional cable on, and they even like repeat it a series later. But then you can tell that the voice actors just are completely saying these things off the cuff, and they stutter and they laugh at their own jokes, and it winds up in the episode like,
"I'm coming, baby legs. I'm regular legs.
I learn a lesson." It's like the Two Brothers trailer. It's like Alien Invasion, Tomato Monster, Mexican Armada brothers, who are just regular brothers in a van running from an asteroid and all sorts of.
The moon comes crashing into the world, but let's get back to the brothers because they have a bond, and it's 2 brothers. They breaks down laughing at the end.
And there's the fake doors.
Oh my God.
I got ants in my eyes, Johnson. I hope my prices aren't too low.
Yeah, he's like, we have microwaves, ovens, TVs. I can't see. I also can't feel anything. Oh man. Or my favorite one's
peeling his skin off that guy or something.
he catches fire. He like burns alive.
The personal space guy is the one.
That's right. Yeah, the personal space.
Number 1, personal space. Number 2, personal space. Number 3, personal space. But then when it cuts back to the audience watching the TV, one of them walks off, which is a hamster in the butt guy, and then another audience member's just like counting along with them.
I like I think it's in the second Cable episode where like the actual story with Jerry and the guy, like they need Jerry's penis, and then Jerry's like, "I'm a good person," and he's trying to catch them. And Werner Herzog makes a cameo for some reason because he was probably bored that day and needed a paycheck. It's just
I gotta say
that show is amazing.
I'm interested in seeing like Evil Morty return. That was
so exciting.
That got me so interested, like way more interested than I should have been, to see Evil Morty. It's amazing because they packed so much intrigue into that one episode, and I think that's another one of those like film theory on YouTube videos, which is all about Evil Morty. And like, because there's, in case you haven't seen it, there's a brief bit where, because you know how when they arrive outside the big dome with all the Mortys with the needles.
Yeah.
On them, and he's like,
"You can accomplish the same thing with 4 Mortys on a jumper cable."
Yeah, I love.
No,
that.
he says one Morty and a jumper cable, and then when,
I love. Yeah.
But then when he's got Rick, strapped to the table and he's like extracting his memories. A really quick one is him electrocuting Morty. So he did actually do that to one of his previous Mortys, and they're saying, well, that's probably why he's Evil Morty now, and that's probably why he knows that idea. So it's really dark. But I'm like,
the whole
I
show.
want to
I
see
love
Evil
how, like,
Morty finally come back, and he'll probably do it at the end.
Episode 1 of the 3rd season, it's like, I have infinite grandkids, so I'm just... And how he somehow negotiates this guy not to kill Summer by using the fact that he doesn't care if he kills Summer, and, like, he was falling for it. It was perfect.
But Morty
did
shoot
in
him.
standoff.
Yeah, Morty didn't see that note, so he would have killed him if that was a real gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, he was good. Yeah, I think Rick knew that. I think that's why Rick. He's like, yeah, because he knows Morty has those murderous tendencies from the Purge episode. He knows what Morty's like.
Yeah, but I did like the rest and relaxation episode.
Oh yeah,
because it's like where the dad tries to kill Morty. Because for a long time I've been wanting that dad. I'm like, yeah, I know you're the dumbass dad. Every show has the dumbass dad because you couldn't have a dumbass mom. No, that would be sexist. So everyone makes fun of the dad. But I was like, in Rick and Morty, I'm like, Rick is such an asshole. It's like he really has screwed up that guy's entire life with his family. I'm like, I really want to get some payback on Rick.
I love the quote.
So payback. Yeah.
He disses Jerry in that one when the snake's eating him, and he just like breaks down what Jerry's all about in like 2 sentences, and I thought that was such a. Then he describes the reason I hate Jerry personally. I think Jerry's hilarious, but I can't stand him as a character because all he does is I know people like that, that throw pity parties and get stuff from that, and so just to see Rick just completely tear him down in just a few lines is awesome. And it's one of the most character-based episodes that the series has done. This whole 3rd season has been nothing but character stuff, and it's really great. My favorite episode of the season is probably the Saw episode, which most people hate, but I love that episode.
Oh, the Vindicators.
The Vindicators episode.
It's so clever. It's really fun.
How they do the Avengers.
I am a million ants.
And I'm gonna.
Yes, he was better. A million times better.
And you guys are all gonna die, like in Saw. I love that. It's like apparently Justin Roiland got really drunk for the episode. Like he was doing like tequila shots to get really drunk for the episode when they did that recording. And I haven't laughed as hard as I did then during the Noob reveal when
I loved it.
I had to pause it because
we're great.
I had to pause it because I was like in tears from laughter because like Morty's face. I think I tweeted it out. I was like, Morty's face during that is so perfect. Oh man! And then Noob himself was great. Just goddamn, and the whole Noob thing. That's my favorite character of this season. I love that episode.
He's kind of like that new version of what was that character where they had the thing where everyone was imagining different people?
Mr. Poopy Butthole. Yeah,
Poopy Butthole. Yeah, he's the one that stuck around. So maybe Noob is going to be that new guy.
For a long time, that was my favorite episode of Rick and Morty. Was the fake memory episode? It's so clever. Of like, oh, we all have that thing where we think we remember something, and people just kind of like believe the lie. And we all have that happen to it.
They put in the fake memory of Jerry like having like a gay affair with that guy.
Maybe we'll see Chewbacca.
He's like crying about it. Oh god, that was funny.
Sleepy Sleepy Gary. It's just them like making love on this boat, going down to the set of a new Star Wars movie.
I think that if someone had to watch one episode of Rick and Morty to get them into it, I think it would be that one. Like it's the one I'd recommend because I'd
recommend the one with where they split the timeline a bunch of times because it's kind of a bottle episode. Nothing gets too crazy about it. It's kind of set in one room the entire episode, which is clever considering the fact that what else they do in the following season. But I love that episode too, especially in the post-credit scene where they beat up Albert Einstein.
Yeah,
I will mess with time.
But the Parasite episode, I think, has got like the most laughs per minute of like any other episode because of just how out there they go. Like, even if it's just the most generic humor, like I'm walking here. Like, we got a saying in Brooklyn, we're walking here.
I love where it's like shut up, Morty. You may not real person who may be real. I don't know because I'm not real either. I like when he's got the gun pointed at him.
Hey, it's reverse giraffe. I've got a short neck and legs.
Keith David was coming in as voice a character for a few lines, like when he was the president in what might be my second favorite episode is, and that's Get Swifty. Oh my god. Yes. Talk about comments. I'm Mr. Bulldog.
Mr. Bulldog?
Don't analyze it, Nathan. It's working. This show is like the Cornetto trilogy, where you can just make a whole podcast and quote this is just the entire show. But it's also
what you got.
Show me what you... And then they had this other subplot about, like, the concept of religion and how it happens and how easily, like, some people just take it and run with corruption. And just the commentary of, like, clearly it makes no sense, but because things have happened in this coincidence, you're just going to have to buy into it. And I love...
Ice-T has an origin story.
Water tea.
There's too many numbers, then it's time to crunch the numbers.
Water tea and the Americans. Number 3, I don't know. Yeah. Oh man, it's a great show though, and I feel like a lot of people aren't loving this season, but season 3 might be my favorite because of all the balance between the actual character. Like they're toning back the sci-fi stuff. They're not necessarily parodizing or satirizing the genre stuff much anymore. They're more or less just doing, what if we have this crazy world and have this character stuff? Rick becomes a pickle. Okay.
Pickle Rick!
Pickle Rick! I want a Pickle Rick t-shirt.
God damn it, I love myself.
Yeah, they essentially just do Iron Man and Die Hard in the same episode, and it's really cool.
I like all the times when, like, Rick sort of goes up against someone, whether he's in, like, one of those brain matrix machines. You know, like, I love that one where... where he's faking memories inside of fake memories inside of fake memories to get this guy, and I was like...
Yeah.
And then he's like,
pretty much just traps
I gotta get that dipping source, Morty. That's my series arc.
Mulan,
even if it takes the whole rest of the season. I'm gonna get
9 more seasons,
Morty. 9 more seasons, Morty.
But yeah, I do like it when Rick is put up against somebody, like the one where he has a whole universe inside his car battery, and then that car battery leads to another universe, and that one leads... It's so clever.
Yeah.
I love how they exponentially get like less and less advanced, you know, like how they're slowly becoming like it takes
slavery,
more
but you skipped a few steps.
It's like slavery with extra steps. I love it's like no, they work for each other. And it's like I think it's like they're making fun of something there with the government. I don't know where it is, but it's in there somewhere. I'm sure someone's already found it.
And Stephen Colbert is the other scientist.
Stephen Colbert is Zeep, I think his name is. It's like peace among worlds, Rick, and he just flips him off. I love it so much. And then this darkness of like, if we don't support our God, it's going to destroy us. And yeah, then it's things like that make the show that kind of extra step above just being like, oh, it's a funny show with interesting characters. It also has this deeper level of, that's really messed up. Everything from God complexes to existential crises and psychological nonsense. And
in the Purge episode, when you read my short film script, I was so tempted to send you the script that the sheep in the lighthouse writes. Like, I was so tempted just to send you that as a meta prank. This was not her day.
As someone who writes screenplays, watching that scene, I'm like, yeah, I get it though. Do you want me to cut to 3 weeks earlier when you were still alive? Oh man.
Also, if you're into like Rick and Morty as well, listeners who have somehow stuck around who aren't into Rick and Morty, there's on Adult Swim's YouTube, there was a court case in Georgia about this guy who just completely had an interplay with the judge, and Justin Roiland recorded like the transcript for both sides, where it's Judge Morty and Rick is the prisoner, and it's one of the funniest 10 minutes you can have ever.
Yeah, it essentially like he said this prisoner like goes into like this monologue, this dialogue between this judge, and this judge just like loses his mind. Yeah, I think they did like the animatic for it, and then some fan actually animated it, and it's pretty good animated.
Yeah, that's the version you should watch. They have proper animated one.
Yeah, it's pretty well animated considering the fact that, you know, I think a fan did it. But it's a really fun show, and I think everybody, if you're into clever writing, if you're into fun characters, if you're into like messed up storytelling, it has something kind of for everybody that's into, you know, if you're into good stuff, then you're probably going to find something to like about
it's the show. It's just good sci-fi as well.
Absolutely,
even forgetting the jokes and the gag, it's funny. It's just really good sci-fi, and there are some really fun sci-fi concepts as well.
Like going back to, I think it's at the very first episode where Morty like inhales like some gas and then coughs out this thing that like grows and dies in like 2 seconds, and Rick just goes, "Don't think about it, Morty." And it's little things like that I love about the show.
And when Rick reveals that he's able to turn Morty into a car.
Don't worry about it. Forget it. It's fine. And he's just in class and it happens. Oh, man. Okay.
And that's the way the news goes.
Ricky, Tabby.
AIDS.
It's my favorite one. AIDS. I've rewatched probably the entire series maybe 3 times. It's one of my favorite shows on TV right now, easily. And it's hard to pick a favorite episode, but I think The Vindicators might be my favorite right now.
Grass tastes bad.
Okay.
Hey, what about to Birdman? Did he die?
Oh, Bird Person? They brought him back as Phoenix Person. He's going to come back.
Yes, that is a post-credit scene.
The post-credit scene. I think it's in the first episode. The post-credit scene, they bring him back. Tammy, that awful person.
I did miss a lot of the post-credit scenes because for a long time I didn't know they were there.
Yeah.
I'd always just click onto the next thing on Netflix, and then I found out later on that I was like, gonna have to go back and watch it.
I think it's in episode 6 or 5. No, it's in the Jerry episode when Beth is calling the help support line on Rick's machine or whatever, and the little creatures inside convince them to open the door,
and they run out.
And it's
free.
Perfect. I was probably laughing for a few minutes after the show has several laugh out loud moments. I don't know, which season is your guys' favorite? I mean, just as what we've seen so far.
I'm going to wait until Series 3 ends, but so far 1 and 2 are more or less neck and neck. I probably would go for Series 2 because it does have that Parasite episode and it's got Get Swifty. Yeah. But that's not to diminish Series 1 at all. Both are absolutely terrific. Although I really hope that if Rick and Morty is around in 2019 when the Mulan Disney film gets remade and the Szechuan sauce comes back.
You know that apparently McDonald's sent them this giant bottle of Szechuan sauce?
What?
Apparently McDonald's sent them this video. McDonald's sent them Szechuan sauce and they all tried it and they're like, yeah, it's pretty good. It's McDonald's sauce.
Yeah, I just looked it up now that McDonald's sent Justin Roiland a 4-pound bottle of the sauce in a suitcase with a letter.
It's a giant thing of Szechuan.
If they can just remake that sauce, they're going to do that when the new Mulan movie comes out.
Absolutely.
Everybody's going to be getting that.
And no one, and like there'll be some people that are just like, oh yeah, I'll try the new Mulan sauce, so it's whatever. But like, there's gonna be like a select few people are like, oh yeah, I'll get the Rick and Morty sauce, please. I thought about asking for Szechuan sauce when I went to McDonald's the other day. I was like, can I get a McGriddle and some Szechuan sauce? And they'll just be like, what?
I can read you the letter that McDonald's sent to Justin if you want.
Oh, absolutely.
So Justin, we finally did it. It took months, but we finally brought back some Szechuan sauce. We'll spare you the physics, but it turns out dimension C1998M is a dimension where it's always 1998. 1998 every day. No smartphones, no social media. It's a weird, scary place, but they've got Szechuan sauce on the regular menu. We wish we could have brought more sauce with us, but we couldn't risk keeping a portal like that open. Think about it. If you knew in 1998 that McDonald's would have all-day breakfast in 2017, would you really want to stay in 1998? Of course not. If we left the portal open, we'd have pucker shells, bucket hats, and boy bands as far as the eye can see. It's too risky, even for sauce as delicious as this. A few lucky fans will get to experience the glory, but the first bottle in this dimension is for you. Stay swifty, Chef Mike.
That's awesome.
Well done, McDonald's.
The slow clap is appropriate there. Yeah,
I invented the slow clap.
Who would have thought an evil, heartless corporation could be so humorous? Is it?
Yeah, please.
Rick and Morty Happy Meal.
We'll just follow Wendy's on
with extra Cronenberg, Morty.
Actually, I did see the end credit scene for that, where like Cronenberg, Rick and Morty move into the now destroyed world, and they're like, "See, everything's okay."
Everything's all David Cronenberg. It's like
we can just fit back into Cronenberg without any problems.
Yeah.
What about the Cronenberg world we left behind? Don't think about it, Morty.
Don't think about it, Morty. I love it. Okay. All right, guys. We could talk about Rick and Morty for an hour.
Yeah, we'll probably come back when Series 3 ends.
Yeah, we'll be back to talk about Rick and Morty in a few weeks. What a fantastic series. Now, Bandit, I know that there's no time to talk about Game of Thrones tonight on the show, but I mean, I would love to talk with you about it later on because we have some similar and yet different opinions on that season because I thought the season was good, at least, but someone personally hated it. Okay.
I don't think I'm really going to bother watching it when it comes back. I might just wait until, if the reviews show up and like, hey, it's really good again, then I might start watching. But
when did you start watching it, if I may ask? Was it like when the first season came out, or like when did you catch on to the Game of Thrones trend?
I think the first 2 seasons I didn't watch it. I just heard about it. And then when season 3 started, I was like, what's this Game of Thrones everyone talking about? And then I just watched them all.
Okay.
And I've kept up with it since then, but yeah.
Well, then you've been watching it since it'll be 4 years at this point. I think you should just finish it. You ought to, it's only 6 episodes.
But I already know what's going to happen. There's no surprises left.
I guarantee you Jon and Dany both die. That's my prediction. It's absolutely going to happen. Absolutely, because love kills in Game of Thrones. Guarantee that they're...
The only interesting theory left is that Cersei is going to get turned into a White Walker and she'll become the White Queen to the White King, and then they'll have a White Walker baby because she's already pregnant.
To quote Lego Movie, that sounds dumb. That's almost as dumb as the Bran theory. I don't know. I think there are still some things that can happen in the show that I think will definitely surprise. He's such a creepy...
Get out of here, Bran.
Isn't he?
Get out of here.
You were so pretty on that. You were so pretty in your wedding dress that night. You were, raped by Ramsay Bolton.
Yeah. Which I saw odd. Because I saw everything.
But at the same time, Bandit... That's very Game of Thrones. What Bran said, that's very Game of Thrones. And so is the Jon and Dany incest stuff. That's also very Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I think. What is it with George R. R. Martin? He's got some issues, I'll tell you.
My biggest complaint this season is that it doesn't feel like Game of Thrones.
They're actually brother and sister, and they immediately cut to them getting it on. And it's like, no, what are you doing?
Yeah. It was intentional.
Old boy or something?
Yeah, if you watch the behind the scenes, it was intentional. They knew it was creepy back when they wrote it. I think they can pull this one out okay. But then again, I liked this season, so I still have a hope. That being said, I did see something this weekend.
Sorry, just one last rant that I forgot to mention. They're going to Phantom Menace it at the end. They've already telegraphed they're going to do that.
Oh,
you know how you take out the mothership and all the droids just fall over. They already set that up. They're like, when they're on that little ice island thing, they're like, if we kill the Night King, all the zombies will just disintegrate. And I'm like, okay, well, that's going to be a real crap ending. Are you really going to do that?
But here's my thing, though. Did you ever expect that not to be the case?
No, I thought they were going to have to fight their way back, one White Walker at a time.
You thought, in my opinion, it's worse if they're like, they just survived 100,000 White Walkers. I'm like, no, they didn't. You don't just survive an army of 100,000+ White Walkers, even if you've got dragons. But by the way, Knight's Pole killing a dragon, I thought was pretty sweet. But that's just me.
That was cool, yeah.
That was pretty sweet. Finally, Daenerys loses something after 7 seasons.
I did like online. Everyone's like, where do the White Walkers get those giant chains to drag that dragon out the bottom of the ocean?
There's an answer for that, but it's not the show.
Well, everyone goes, well, don't worry. Even if they just magically got those chains, how did they attach them to the dragon? Well, you see, a White Walker would swim down there and attach them. No, they said they can't swim. How did they attach it to the dragon? Because they didn't say that. They can't swim.
Yeah, so I mean that scene. Yeah, first of all, yeah. So even if they just wanted to have the Night King raise the dragon, up out of the water, it wouldn't be able to swim. Also, it's not breathing fire; it's breathing ice. But that's just me. But it's not breathing fire; it's breathing ice. Because otherwise, how else would it survive? Because whites fire kills them. Yeah. The season does have problems.
How did he bring down the wall with ice breath? That wouldn't have brought it down. That would have been
I think it's a combination of. It's a combination of both magic and the force of the blast. I would imagine, kind of like in like X-Men. It's what's his name? Cyclops. It's not a laser. It's a concussive force blast. Something like that. You know what I mean? That's what I interpreted. By the way. Yeah. Otherwise, why would it be blue?
I thought I was like in the books they have a horn, like a horn that you blow.
I thought they were going to do the horn too,
and it will take the wall down. And I was hoping Littlefinger, as like a last FU before he dies, will maybe blow that horn and just take down the wall and be like, "Enjoy dealing with the White Walkers, guys. I'm dying now."
That's such a little finger thing to do, right? It's like to be on the wall and blow the horn. It's like, you know what, Your Grace, I'm just going to do this real quick. Yeah, he symbolizes that the show is a different thing now. We are now officially in the third act of this entire story. We have to wrap things up now, which I'm fine with. I think I'm okay with the show now being something different. And Littlefinger was easily the symbolization of... I mean, honestly, it was the Battle of the Bastards that symbolized that the show's going to be something different. It symbolized that we're going to be watching a lot of victories at this point now. We're not going to watch a lot of death anymore, which makes me a little upset.
Yeah, we're going to watch a lot of dumb victories.
I think they can pull this one out okay. I think because they have 2 years now to get this thing together, they can do some rewrites and they can fix some things. I think we're going to be okay. I think you should keep watching. I'm not just saying it because I want to do videos. I think you should keep watching. I think you'll enjoy it, especially if they kill Danny, which I'm sure you'll find and loop on, repeat over and over again.
Actually, that's true. Yeah, it would be great if they kill her. All right, I'll keep watching just for the hope that she'll die horribly.
I thought she was a goner. If I was the writers, I would have killed her this season when they killed the dragon. I would have had her die too. Yeah. Man, that would have been great. Anyways. Sorry, I saw something else this weekend. Sorry, Trilby, you still there?
Sorry, Trilby. We said we're not going to talk about Game of Thrones, and then we did like 10 minutes.
That's okay. I just took that moment to just drink all the beer I had. And that's why I always say, shum, shum, schlippity dot.
All right, so... I got to see it this weekend, and not like it was an advanced screen. Like I went out and saw it. I went down to my IMAX theater and watched it. And I gotta say, guys,
it's IMAX.
Yeah. Well, like I gotta say, man, that 11.1 surround sound is not something to mess around with. I mean, man. Okay, so if you guys don't know, it's the Stephen King story. It's the classic killer clown is after this group of kids and they have to figure out how to stop him. God bless you if someone just sneezed. I don't know if you guys heard that.
Faced away from our microphone. Hopefully it wasn't too loud.
No, I heard a paw in the background. I presumed it was just you dying. Kind of like when you had that cough that one time. Oh man, what a funny episode. Okay, and it's a thick book. It's like 1,200 pages worth of book, and then it was a 2-part miniseries. And then now it's a 2-part film series, and this is the first part of the story where it's a group of kids known as the Losers Club, and they're being terrorized by this entity known as It, which takes the form of this clown known as Pennywise, and it's terrifying. It is. Maybe it's because I have a deathly
two-part miniseries.
Yeah, well, originally...
Is one when they're all kids and the other when they're all adults?
Yes. But what I will say is that you don't know it's 2 parts until the very end of the film. The film works very well on its own. It doesn't feel like it's setting up for a sequel or anything. The film is a very complete film. They could not do a sequel and it'd be fine. But when the film ends, it's like It, Chapter 1. You're like, oh, Part 2 is coming out soon. And they announced that it is as well, because the movie did very well this weekend. 120 million domestic, which is crazy. But it's terrifying, especially if you're scared of clowns, which I am. I'm deathly afraid of those things. I've always been.
Are we going spoilers?
No.
Or are we waiting for the spoiler moment?
No spoilers. Because have you guys seen the movie? I haven't seen it.
I've not. I was hoping to see it, but the screening times were really weird in my area for some reason. They only really tend to show horror films like after 6 p.m., which is fine. It makes sense, but for people like me, I went and saw
at 8 o'clock at night at the IMAX. I walked out, and the drive home was not fun. But I won't go any spoilers, obviously. But if you've seen
I haven't seen it, but I've seen the original, so.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, it is different from the 90s miniseries in that you can take it seriously. It's and it has a sense of humor about it. It's a lot of fun, and I think it's funny enough, it's a really good companion piece to Stranger Things because it has a bigger budget than Stranger Things does. It has a lot of character like the series does, and it's very Stephen King, obviously, much like Stranger Things is. But what the trailers don't prepare you for is the brutality of the film. The film is brutal in like every sense of the word. I mean, without talking about it and giving gruesome details, I mean, kids get like dismembered in the movie, and you just like,
oh boy, I've got to see this film.
And you just like see it, and I won't give any. If anyone's read the book, they know exactly. Like, I've read bits and pieces, so there were certain things when it happened, I was like, oh right, that happened in the book. They just did that, and and as dark as it gets in certain points, and as terrifying it gets. By the way, Benjamin Wallfish, I think, did the score for the film. He did the score for Dunkirk. And hearing that crazy, like loud horn, droning, terrifying score in an 11.1 surround sound, I nearly wet myself. It was terrifying. But it's a brutal film. It's R-rated, so they show blood. The kids drop F-bombs here, F that, stupid, F your mother, all that stuff they do. They talk like kids. They're like in 7th grade, and they talk like it, and it's really, and that's where the fun comes in mostly. The kid from Stranger Things is in it. I believe his name, I think he's Mike in Stranger Things, and he plays a different kid here, obviously, and he gets like a lot of he essentially plays, I think, if we were the cast of it, he'd be Bandit, essentially, and just vulgar and just crass and really funny. He's like the kid. What? He's like the kid when you play like Call of Duty and like some 12-year-old kid shoots you and it's like, ha ha, blah, 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 blah. He's like that, but it's very endearing and it's really entertaining. And it reminded me of how I was at 12. I was just like that. So, I mean, but Bill Skarsgård plays Pennywise, who I think is the brother of the guy from True Blood from Tarzan. He's really good as Pennywise. In many ways, he does something that Tim Curry didn't get to do, which is terrify you. He's horrifying. I'm not just talking about when he looks scary, when this is in the trailer, so as you guys, Georgie looks in the sewer drain, and the conversation between him and Georgie, the entire time I was just like on the edge of my seat biting my nails, because I'm like, when's the penny gonna drop? And when the penny drops, boy does it drop. Oh my god. It's terrifying, not necessarily from start to finish, but every time something scary is happening, it was difficult to look at the screen. That's what I will say. I was definitely afraid of the film, but I also really enjoyed it because it's also a very good coming of age story. It's almost like if Stand By Me and The Shining had a baby, in that sometimes it's like this really fun and endearing story about friendship and staying together and young love and what that means and how you are affected by life. But it's also very messed up and very brutal and very violent and very traumatic. And when the movie ended and the credits started to roll, and like the people were walking out, this little like 8-year-old kid walked in front of me because I stayed during the credits, not because I looked for something, because just to acknowledge the key grip, because that's an important job on a film set. But that's why I stayed during the after credits. And this little 8-year-old walks in front of me, and I just turn, I'm like, are you all right? And he's like, yeah. And you could just tell he was just like shaking. I'm like,
can't sleep, clown will eat me.
Yeah,
you should have tapped him on the shoulder and been like, hi there. They all float down here.
It's okay, we'll float too.
Yeah, it's something. I'm like, don't worry. I should pull out a balloon. I'm like, you want a balloon? Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Balloons. Okay, yeah, it's really good, and I can't wait for you guys to see it, because it's everyone I've talked to that before had seen it said it was fantastic. It's terrifying, and it is. I give it a 9.4 out of 10.
Ooh. I actually want to go see it now. See, I wasn't bothering because I was like, I've already seen the original, but now I think
different. They do certain things that they do in the original, but but the way they handle it, and the way they can use they use like practical effects too, which I'm like, yes, but they also use the way they blend the two is masterful. It's perfect. Love it.
Yeah, the reviews have been incredibly positive. Like, it's in the high 80s on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's also it's made like such an insane amount of money in its opening weekend, and it only cost around $30 million. It's one of the rare like mid-tiered budgeted success stories that we hear. Like,
I was trying to get tickets on Friday, and that was a nightmare trying to get those. I'm like, screw it, I'll see it Saturday night, and so that's what I did.
Yeah, it's an immediately iconic production.
Yeah.
It goes to show you don't always have to spend a ton of money to make a ton of money.
We talked about Get Out.
Yeah.
Me and Joey talked about Get Out, right? Get Out was what, $4 million and made like $300 million. So
exactly. Like, but it does have like brand recognition. It's got the mini series and the book and everything, but it
has
still
those awesome trailers.
Like, It's the great trailers, the great marketing. It's coming after a particularly dismal summer at the box office, and is like single-handedly revitalized it.
Oh,
the second film opening. The second film opening is like a Renee Zellweger movie, which has opened to around 6 million, and that's the second place film. And the first place film is It with 120.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, the slide scene where they go through the different trailer, you haven't seen the whole thing if you've seen the trailer. I'll just say that.
Oh, good. I know that
going to bed last night was an adventure. I'll tell you that much. What?
I want to ask you questions about the ends, but I can't until we get to spoilers. Can we do spoilers quick? I just want to ask.
I won't spoil.
Is this a spoiler for the book?
No, I won't. Are you talking about, without giving too many details, are you talking about a certain scene involving all the children in it?
I kind of want to know how it ends and certain stuff about how Pennywise is portrayed. Because
you don't see his. I won't
say it, but because in the
here's
books,
what I will say:
all Stephen King's books are connected, and in other books, it's implied that Pennywise is not the only one of his kind. I'll just say that. Yes. So I want to ask questions about that.
We don't know. We don't get to know a heck of a lot about Pennywise in this film because I would imagine they're saving a lot because you learn a lot about Pennywise in the adult section of the book and the adult miniseries. You learn what he actually is, which is hinted at, but it's more implied that Pennywise is this force that has been around, hunting and slaughtering hundreds of people for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
But I guarantee when the sequel comes out that they will explain a good chunk of that. I'm hoping that they don't do what they do in the book, where I'm just like, I don't think they're going to do that, but then they might, so I won't say what it is. There's also something that involves all the kids in the book that they don't do, thank God. I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. If you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. They don't do that.
I think I know what you mean.
But they do have a nice homage to it, which I thought was amazing. When you watch the movie, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's wonderful. Huh? What were you saying, Bandit? Are you going to tell me something?
I was just going to say, again, this isn't spoiler, but I'm just getting close to the spoiler. Do you see Pennywise in his natural form?
No.
Because we know he can present himself as different people and things.
Yes. Well, I think the way they establish Pennywise in the film is that he has taken the form of this clown from hundreds of years ago, but what the kids see is what their actual fears are, and then once it's in that fear that Pennywise the clown comes out to essentially attack the kids, because that's what. You know what I mean? Like one of the characters might be afraid of a mummy per se, or something like that, which is in the film. It's also in the trailer. And so once then you see the mummy, that's when the clown will come out and pounce, essentially, because he wants to feed on their fear. So he needs them to be terrified before he can attack them, which is a nice mechanic. So why Pennywise doesn't just kill the kids immediately.
So they don't actually show him just in his what he looks like without any of that visual stuff that he does.
No, but
because that's the connection to the Dark Tower. Because again, I'm gonna try not to give, because the Dark Tower storyline is that because all the books are supposed to be set in the same universe, and Dark Tower storyline is this is another dimension that connects all other dimensions. So presumably one of those dimensions is where the story of It happens. And in the books, when you see Pennywise in his natural form, he looks a certain way. And in Dark Tower, there's other people who look like that, and there's like a ruler of that species kind of thing.
It's implied, and that's all I mean. And when we jump to the fall movie preview, we can talk about that. Unless Chilby doesn't know what we're talking about, which is we won't talk about that.
Wait, so there's no scene where Idris Elba comes in and shoots Pennywise in the face?
Well,
right?
I didn't want to say it, but yeah, Matthew McConaughey.
When Matthew McConaughey is in one of the losers' kitchens and says, "Oh, sorry, I made myself a home. We don't have chicken in my universe."
I haven't seen the Dark Tower, but that's the reference.
That's okay. No one did, except for me.
You ruined it. The kids' material things goes up to me, Idris Elba. You ruined it there. That's the spoiler. There.
Wouldn't it be really funny if it turns out that this in It Part 2 or whatever, which for some reason was not greenlit like a week ago. Why? They're going to wait 2 years for this thing to come out now.
Because I respect them for that immensely, because movies have had big marketing campaigns and then just bomb. That has happened a lot recently, especially in horror films. So I respect them.
Even when the initial tracking numbers came in like 2 weeks ago, and
$60 million.
I'm not saying, we've made It Part 1. It Part 2 is already in post-production. I just feel like Warner Brothers really should have jumped on this a bit quicker, even if it was just a bit in a hesitant way.
Well, the script for It Chapter 2, which I think is what they're calling it, was done, I think they were in the process of halfway through the script in like March or April. So they've known what this film was going to be. Plus, not to mention Cary Fukunaga, who did True Detective, was originally going to do this film originally, and he wanted to do a 2-parter film anyways. So when he left, they kind of kept that idea. So this was always in the idea to do 2 movies. And I think it's smart to wait a couple of years to do the sequel, because it's like, remember it? Well, it's back, and now they're adults, and they got to take it down again. I don't know. I'm excited.
Imagine if the release date is, okay, we're releasing It Part 2 in 2034, so the kids can actually properly age.
God forbid they all survive and don't turn to drugs.
Well, they've been saying that there's been a couple of like It fan castings, and because the plot of It is that basically this creature comes out every 27 years to feed on people's fears. 27 years ago was the It miniseries, which had Seth Green as one of the kids. Will Seth Green play that adult version of the kid in It Chapter 2?
Well, no, because it's a different. I know it's a different,
but I just think that'll be a fun bit of casting.
Yeah, but I mean, if it doesn't. Yeah, well, the miniseries, maybe because I'm not a fan of the miniseries, but the miniseries and the film are two very different tones.
Tim Curry's performance is the only reason the miniseries is really endured.
He's legendary in the film, don't get me wrong, but besides that, I mean, there's nothing in that miniseries to really sink your teeth into. I mean, and I think they really worked hard, the filmmakers worked hard on ensuring that this is a movie that you can not only take seriously, but also have a fun time with. And I think they wanted to get that stigma of the original miniseries that people remember fondly for being scary. But if you go back, it's not scary.
No, it's not.
With the exception of the opening scene. The opening scene's pretty terrifying, in my opinion. The whole Georgie stuff, especially if you've read the book. I don't know. I think they worked hard to make it actually terrifying again. Mm-hmm. And so I think just to be like, let's cast Seth Green, a comedian. I'm like, no, but it's not. You know what I mean? I don't know.
So, Trey, do you have Prince Albert in a can? You do?
You better let the poor guy out.
I watched the Nostalgia Critics review of it the other day. Yeah. And just his commentary on that scene.
They didn't like the new one either, which I'm like, I didn't expect them to. I didn't expect them to.
So I've not watched their sibling rivalry yet.
They didn't like it, and neither did I expect them to. Okay, that being said,
fair enough.
We should probably get to our feature presentation.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I thought that was the feature presentation. Wasn't that the feature presentation? I put the timestamp in.
That was homework.
Oh, that was the homework as well.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
The creator of Wolverine and Swamp Thing has just passed away.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Okay.
Breaking news. Even though this podcast will come out like 4 days' time.
Shut up, Trilly.
I'm not
saying that. Hey,
Every joke has a basis in reality, Trey.
Hey. Like in Saw. Okay, so Trilly, I presume, do you know how the ending of the book of It ends?
I know how the kids portion ends.
Okay.
And it ends with basically a child orgy.
Yeah.
They do hint at that, by the way. That's pretty great when they do.
I know that they don't do that in the film.
No, there was
that's what I was thinking when you said they show everything. I was like, I don't think they show that.
I'm talking more about the fact that people like lose limbs and blood and guts and all that stuff, the gore.
That's what I thought,
kids can lose their innocence through childhood orgies.
There was a point, though, Trilly. I think I'm not recording right now because I'd cut that.
You can't even blame me for it. It's from the book.
But like, there was a point in the film
where there's 7 pages of it.
I'm like, are they gonna do like I turned to my friend Becca who I saw with him, like, are they gonna do the never mind, you haven't read the book. I was like, are they gonna are they gonna do the childhood orgy thing? Are they gonna do it? Because there's a point where I'm like, I don't believe this movie, they're gonna do it. But they don't.
How does that work? There's only one girl to go round. I mean,
yeah, well, that's how it goes around.
That's exactly how it works.
So the rest of them are just like, hey, let's just wait our turn.
But that's my thing, right? Like but
the worst part, Bandit, is that she proposes it.
Yeah, it's her right.
Oh, of course she does. Of course she does, Stephen King, because that would totally happen.
The best thing about it is, like, you're watching the movie, and I won't give any spoilers for the new film, but the rumor around her is that she is a slut. That's the rumor going around middle school, is that she sleeps with everybody around them. And so I'm like, is this like them homaging the orgy thing? And I don't know if that was in the book or not, I can't remember. There's also a very creepy pharmacy owner named Mr. King, and he looks just like Stephen King. he creeps on the chick, and you're like, that's perfect. I was like, that's the orgy scene is right there. That's exactly what they're commenting on, and it's a wonderful homage. Shirley, I don't want to ruin. I don't think they're going to do this. Bandit, are you referring to the giant spider?
Yeah, the giant spider. Do they show the giant spider? Because that's the connection to the species.
You see spider webs all around his lair, and you see when he's attacking kids, and then they're like defeating him. You see like spider legs. That's about it.
Yeah,
and that's not big. That's not a really big spoiler.
Spider
that's like
legs. So he's still Pennywise from like the top half, and then he's got spider legs.
He's only got like
Darth Maul.
His his arms like one of the kids is attacking him, and like his arms kind of form into spider legs very briefly. And I think that's either an homage to it, or they're hinting at the fact that he is a giant spider.
No, that's
which
actually,
my friend Christian.
That's actually good because in Dark Tower like the king of his species, that's what he looks like. He has spider legs, but then he's like sort of humanoid from the waist up.
Yeah.
So that's actually even more of a wink that he is part of like a bigger species if they show that.
They do hint. And so when that did happen, I was like, oh, they're going to do the spider thing, but that was kind of all right. If they can make him scary, then I'm down for it. Not to mention I hate spiders.
I've read a couple of stories that for part 2 they are going to explore more into what it is and its origins in the universe and all that stuff. So that would, I imagine, be reserved for part 2, the whole spider or its origins and true form.
And there's so much about this movie I want to talk to you about, but I don't want to ruin it for you because I know you want to see it. So I don't.
I'll hopefully have watched it by next week.
Oh my god! But like that Georgie scene, like Jesus Christ, I've never wanted to step out of a theater so quickly. I mean, there's like the scene happens, we fade out, title card, and I was pretty ready to be done with the movie by that point, and it was like 10 minutes. I can, okay, all right, let's get to the feature presentation.
And now our feature presentation.
All right, guys, this is the feature presentation, in which case we talk about whatever it is we choose to talk about. So we're going to spend the next probably hour breaking down the upcoming films of fall 2017. We've already talked a lot about It, which is probably the first big release of the fall. I think we'll jump to the next one here, which is Kingsman: The Golden Circle. What do you guys think?
Bandit, do you want to start?
I was writing down the timestamp. Yeah, Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Yeah. I mean, the trailers don't look that good, but I really.
But were the trailers for the first Kingsman any good? That's my question. I don't think so.
That's a good point. Yeah.
They were good, but not. They were good, but not great. And I'm wondering whether or not I would be excited for Kingsman 2 if it wasn't for the fact that I know this is Kingsman. I think that's really the main thing giving me faith in the project.
I'm thinking they might Guardians Galaxy this, where it's a good film, but it's not. It doesn't reach that kind of crazy zany awesomeness that the first one had.
Well, let's face it. A big part of what made the first movie interesting was the main guy. What's his name? The guy
Harry,
who trained Eggsy?
Yeah, Colin Firth as Galahad.
Firth. That's right, yeah. Is he back in this one?
Yeah. Seems so, yeah.
He is? Really? I didn't see that.
He's got an eye patch. It's in the trailers. It's in the posters.
Oh, yeah, I must have missed that trailer.
It's all over the marketing campaign. Bandit fell asleep during that part in the preview.
I was going to say, sorry for ruining it for you, but it has been a big part of the
you gotta understand, in its old age, sometimes people just fall asleep quicker than others, and you just kind of have to, you know what I mean? It takes time, you know?
Hey, Eggsy, get off my lawn.
No,
anyway,
I didn't see that because I hadn't seen that. I've been off the internet so much, so I'm not down with all these things. So, okay, but how are they going to bring him back? Didn't his head explode?
I'm thinking robot, but then again, why would he have...
the head, didn't he, by Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah.
And we saw Brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
there was a blood spot.
Cheap to me. Unless they
I'm
cloned
sure
him or something.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, why would he, unless the clone, like, would have the same DNA as him, so then maybe, like, it would replicate, like, his bad eye? Because why would... Unless maybe the bullet just kind of stayed in his brain, but then why was there a brain splatter?
You know what they could do? They could just say, he has a twin brother. They could just say that.
Then why would they
put an eye patch just to distinguish them? I guess, I don't know.
But you know what they do? They say only that. They only just say, "What was that? Oh, I'm his twin brother," and then they just never bring it up ever again. And then everyone's just like, "Okay," and then no one else ever like comments on it. Yeah.
That'd be funny, yeah. He just walks in and Eggsy's like, and they're like, yeah, it's a twin brother. Now let's none of us ever mention this again, and we'll just continue.
And it's
on.
Like, they always look at the cameras like, now that that's covered, back to the story. Is it back to Julianne Moore being the bad guy?
Yeah. Oh, well, in that case, because I was going to say, like, if he's not in it, that's a big part of what made the first movie great. But if he is back, then great. Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for it because I love everybody involved. Oberyn from Game of Thrones is in it. Prince Oberyn's in it as a typical, the whole statesman guys are all typical. Like, oh, I'm from Texas, lassos, and funny enough, those people exist. They're all around us. I live in a very Latin town like San Antonio. A lot of Mexicans, a lot of Latin people, but a lot of Texans down here too. They love their hats and their boots and their ropes.
They'd have to kind of be American stereotypes because Kingsman were kind of British stereotypes, yeah, absolutely. But here's my thing. I want to see the Aussie division. That's going to be great. They'll be throwing boomerangs and everything. It'll be awesome.
Well, it's funny you brought up Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when making comparisons, because I feel like they're doing a similar marketing approach where we don't know anything about the actual story. Like, we know that Julianne Moore's going to be the villain, but what's she doing, what role, what her actual plan is, we have no idea. We don't really know anything about the story.
Is Halle Berry like the Mark Strong version of Statesman? Is that what she's there for? I don't know.
Yes, she's basically like a Q equivalent where she
I look at her and I see Catwoman still, so I can't, but that's still in my brain whenever I look at Halle Berry.
See, when I see Catwoman in my mind, that's not a bad thing.
No, but when you see a weird 2004 CG bouncing around Halle Berry, you're like, that's not, I think that's wrong.
But it's wrong, and we are wrong for having created it as a species.
I just love that they've done such a terrible job of making James Bond movies that James Bond movies are the only movies that are afraid to be James Bond movies now. So Kingsman is like, we'll do it. We'll bring in the guy who throws his hat to kill someone. We'll do all that stuff. Yeah, that's great.
Kingsman's like, we'll make it R-rated. We'll just do an R-rated version of a James Bond film, which I'm completely down for. At the same time, though, I like Skyfall, so stop it, Bandit. Yeah. Don't disagree with me.
I think if 20th Century Fox plays their cards right with this franchise, they could have, maybe not something that lasts as long as James Bond, but they could have like a full-blown franchise here, which can go into many different directions.
Well, it depends on who they get to direct, because while like something like Mission Impossible works because every single film feels kind of like isolated on its own because they get a different director and a different team behind it, this is a Matthew Vaughn Marv Productions baby. And I think Matthew Vaughn, isn't he doing Flash Gordon after this? And so even if they went to a Kingsman 3, I believe he's doing the Flash Gordon movie. I could be wrong. I believe it's him.
I think that's been on the table for a long time.
Which is going to be awesome. But
Savior of the universe.
Give him...
Sorry, I have to.
I just had
You're
to.
fine,
It's true. Bandit is contractually obligated.
Yeah. If they do a Kingsman 3, he probably won't be one. He probably won't do it. So, I mean, it depends on who they get to make the film at this point. Because much like James Bond, you got the same directors to do it, and that's kind of what made the films get worse is in the 60s and 70s. Yeah. I love Live and Let Die and Spy Who Loved Me, but I mean, Moonraker, Fear of Eyes Only, we don't talk about those. But that's what happens when you get the same I don't know.
But see, Moonraker, that laser battle in space, that totally is something you could put in a Kingsman movie. Totally.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I would buy it when I see them he's like it's a lasso. I that belongs in a Kingsman movie. Well,
is Moonraker the one where the guy inflates and explodes on the ceiling?
Yes.
I think
yeah. You can have that in Kingsman.
Isn't that Live and Let Die?
Let me double check. I could be wrong, but it is one of that weird era of James Bond.
It's the Roger Moore movies. If it's something ridiculous and stupid, it's Roger Moore.
Oh yeah, it is Live and Let Die. My mistake.
Yeah, Kananga, I think the guy. That's the black guy. I don't remember. I can't remember.
Yeah, Moonraker is the one where Jaws finally turns good. He turns good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and he's got a girlfriend as well.
Yeah, he's got this dorky little girl, and they float off into space. He's like, "Don't worry, they'll be fine." They're
I'm
probably
down
on
for
some Rick and Morty planet creating a race of weird kids with metal teeth somewhere,
Yeah. I do not know. I do not know what humans eat. You know what this human eats? Don't be gross, Tammy.
No, I think with Kingsman Golden Circle, we're at least going to get a really fun film with a massive, awesome cast as well. Channing Tatum, Jeff Bridges, Elton John, Vinnie Jones, Michael Gambon. Yeah, he's playing a version of himself.
Yes. Okay, so now here's my question. Out of everyone in the cast, who's going to be the surprise bad guy? Because you're going to do that again, because of course you do. Who's going to be the surprise bad guy? And I wonder what's going to be the crazy, one-take action scene this time. Because directors can't help themselves, but they have to outdo themselves sometime. In the same way James Gunn's we're going to do group dancing in a one-take thing, in
I think it's
Star
Wars. That scene in the trailer where we've seen Eggsy and Harry Galahad with the briefcase, suitcase, and the umbrella shield. I think it's going to be that sequence in that arena. Okay. I think that's going to be because how else do you do you up the one take with the one Kingsman? You get the two Kingsmen.
Yeah, I wonder what song they're gonna do. I would do Bohemian Rhapsody or some kind of Queen song. That's what I would do.
Well, it's definitely going to be another one of those kill everyone in the room situations.
Yeah,
they're going to have to do that. Last time
there's a great video.
The Baptist church.
The church. Yeah, they did. Someone took a video of that.
They pick some other group that's just as hated and just slaughter everyone in that room.
What if they just go an ISIS rally and they just slaughter a bunch of ISIS?
Well, see, if they are going,
that's what they do.
I was going to say, if they are going to the Statesmen, if they are going to America, you could actually have Nazis.
Yeah, everyone shows up with tiki torches. Oh my god,
they do a bunch of they kill a bunch of alt-rights. Alt-rights is just a bunch of people being white supremacy, and then the Kings just come in and just shoot them all and burn them all to the ground. And someone will get offended because of course they will.
And then you'll get one of the bad guys going, "Jews will not replace us," and then Harry just puts an umbrella in his face.
And then you just hear Bandit in the background. But wait a minute,
I'm offended.
I'm gonna make a video about this.
They probably would do that too, actually. Probably would.
Okay. Let's keep the ball rolling here. We got a couple.
We're gonna have a fun time. We're gonna have a fun time with Kingsman.
The next one after that I kind of want to talk about is the Lego Ninjago movie, which comes out on the same weekend.
I'm amazed how close that is to release and how relatively little hype we have.
Yeah, well, I think it's gonna come out. It's gonna be a kids movie. It's gonna make probably 30 million at the box office over the weekend. But if it's great, which I haven't heard anything from it, but if it's great, it'll have legs and it'll stand. But I think
if you said that a year ago, I would have agreed with you. But the Lego Batman underperformed.
But the Lego Batman movie isn't the Lego Batman isn't the Lego movie. You know what I mean? The Lego movie that's what I consider when someone's oh, it's great. I consider Lego Batman's a 7.5 out of 10. Lego movies where your 10 out of 10 comes in. Then again, I might be in the minority here when I say that. Did you guys both love Lego Batman?
Oh yeah, I loved it. Not as much as the Lego movie, but that's because that is just on another level.
Yeah, well,
I still love it.
Yeah.
Lego Batman, I think is still a lot of fun. I don't think anything is ever as good as the opening 10 minutes. Everything from
let's
black,
get nuts.
everything begins with black and these and dramatic logos, and it's just the logo from The Dark Knight. It's perfect.
Computer, put the playlist on. Computer.
Playlist.
Hey, look.
And they actually
Batman.
got serious.
Who has the coolest backflips? Batman.
Who pays his taxes? Not Batman.
I'd love for that to be a best
Lego
original
Batman.
song nominee.
Lego Batman might have underperformed, but I'm sure it probably made more money than Batman v Superman. So it's okay.
It might
Remember
probably
that
make more of a
skit they had
profit.
where it's Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill are there, and the guy shows up,
and then Will Arnett comes in as Lego Batman. It's like
He's
no
got a
one
little
cares
Lego
Lego Batman.
He's like, don't worry,
Your
we're
kids
still
do.
essential.
Yeah, your kids do. Like, we're still relevant. And then they go back away. Yeah.
Nobody cares about Lego Batman. Ask your kids if they care.
Well, I think the reason Lego Ninjago has a chance of being great is because I feel like it's going to be a lovely homage to the old kung fu movies, like the old Jackie Chan films, like Drunken Master and all that stuff. And as someone who grew up watching the Lego Ninjago show, I'm excited personally, and I do enjoy these Lego movies. They do prove to have that irreverent style of humor. Like, I think it's in the trailer where the husband gets stuck on a rock or whatever, and the wife's like, "I promise never forget you. I'll move on," and he's like, "I never said to do that. Come back." And it's that style of humor that I think the Lego movies always keep around, and that's what makes me laugh personally. Not to mention, it looks like a heartfelt story of father and son, which I love.
I don't think it's gonna be bad. When I look at the fact that it's got 6 producers and 6 screenwriters and 8 people with story credits, that kind of concerns me a bit. And also, this could be a fun homage to kung fu and ninjas and all that. But what am I going to get here that the Kung Fu Panda trilogy has not already catered towards? Obviously,
very fair. That's very fair.
Obviously, the two can coexist, but why should I watch the Lego Ninjago movie instead of just watching my Blu-ray of Kung Fu Panda?
Yeah, I can get that.
Jackie Chan's in both of those things, because Jackie Chan's going to be the master character, the mentor character in the Ninjago film, and the students.
Chili, I'm going to stop you real quick. I'm going to let you finish, but let me just read you this article. Despicable Me 3 crosses $1 billion at the worldwide box office. Is that true?
Yeah,
Can someone
it's true.
confirm that for me, please?
That happened.
Are you serious?
It
I
is
didn't
the
even
third.
see it.
Yeah, it's the only film this past summer to have crossed $1 billion, and the third film of 2017.
Wow!
After Beauty and the Beast and Fast and Furious 8.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it is. Despicable Me 3 is one of those films that it's so vanilla. It has made zero cultural impact, but it's still made $1 billion. It's kind of it's like Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland.
It's like Avatar. You know?
I was going to say, it's like Avatar. Avatar made $3 billion. Well, at least with Avatar, people cared
still
for
waiting for that sequel, James Cameron. We're all so excited.
Well, he's too busy crapping on Wonder Woman and loving Terminator Genisys to make an Avatar sequel.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand.
But yeah, I saw the film. It was fine, but it was the weakest of the trilogy. It's slightly better than Minions, but yeah, it's so vanilla. It is just a bunch of colours on a screen for 90 minutes.
About it on the show, like months ago.
And I really should have done a lightning round on that one instead of talking about it for 5 minutes.
Well, I'd love to hear another lightning round. That'd be awesome.
We did that a couple of weeks ago, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
When I had 6 films.
Yeah, Chili, we were already at 2 hours. I'm like, Chili, we got to get through all these movies really quickly.
I talked about Dark Tower and Atomic Blonde in the lightning round.
Yeah, okay. Well, in that case...
Oh, by the way, can I just throw this in before we move on?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Terminator Genisys, I just have to say something. I'd just like to point out that because the sequel to Terminator Genisys got cancelled and got replaced with Baywatch tanked. See? Should listen to me. The sequel to Terminator Genisys would have been successful in China, and Baywatch tanking is your karma.
What does Baywatch have to do with Terminator, sorry? What does Baywatch have to do with Terminator? Sorry?
Well, it was going to come out on the same day.
Oh, okay.
So
I was going to
say
that's your link, Bandit, is that they came out on the same day. So that, of course, means that they were... Are they...
I know,
it's
a very
flimsy different
connection.
studios.
But in my head,
studios?
that's karma.
Isn't one Paramount and isn't one like Sony? Didn't Sony do Baywatch?
Trey, Bandit's the guest on this podcast. Whatever helps him sleep at night.
Okay, fine. Fine, no arguments today. Sorry, audience.
See, just because like Terminator Genesis created an alternate timeline, I need to create an alternate timeline in order to justify
where Dwayne The Rock Johnson was going to be in Terminator 6, but instead did Baywatch and it flopped.
That's right.
But,
on October 6th.
Anyway, Lego Ninjago. I'll see it. I'll probably have a good time. After Lego Batman, I'm kind of skittish on the future of this franchise.
Yeah.
In terms of box office, like not quality.
Yeah. Okay. So on October 6th, my most anticipated film of the fall comes out, and that's Blade Runner 2049. I'm so excited for this movie. I'm so excited. I know what it is. It's the fact that I have the unfortunate quality of being an aspiring film student, and it looks so awesome.
Yeah, Roger Deakins' cinematography.
Yeah, everything from the filmmaking to Denis Villeneuve, who did a great job with Arrival last year. Everyone in it is great, except, did you hear the story about Jared Leto on set and how he apparently actually went blind for the film? Yeah. I hate that guy so much. He's what a prick.
Jared Leto, you could... Act.
What
was it I said when there was the news of the Joker movies, that his performance as the Joker was biblically bad?
Yeah, it was bad on biblical proportions, like it was like a plague or something.
Dude, just act.
Yeah.
If you have to blind yourself to play a blind guy, get acting lessons. Yeah, you can afford it.
I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think about Blade Runner 2049? How do you think of them?
I've not seen the original, but I do have the final cut on DVD.
I'm
handing over my movie pass.
You weren't on the podcast when we talked about Blade Runner. That was a long time ago. I was like,
that was before I joined. I've yet to watch the original Blade Runner. I'm wondering whether, because I highly benefited actually from watching Trainspotting and then the next day watching Trainspotting 2. I actually thought that was a great double feature in terms of those films thematically with the big time jump. With Blade Runner 2049,
actually, I saw it on Netflix the other day. I was going to click on it and I was like, no, I'll watch something else. Maybe I should watch that.
Trainspotting is real. It's a really good trip. It's messed up and awesome, but it's really good. And I watched Trainspotting 2, which takes place 20 years later, like the day after. So all of a sudden, seeing these characters who I saw yesterday, 20 years older, it actually thematically really worked. I'm wondering whether or not to do that with 2049.
Is Trainspotting the movie where Ewan McGregor and Christian Bale make out?
No, it's the film where Ewan McGregor is a heroin junkie.
Wait a minute. Let's pull it back a second. There's a movie where Ewan McGregor and Christian Bale make out, and I haven't seen it. What is this?
Apparently,
what are we living in? Obi-Wan and Batman make love.
Velvet Goldmine.
Hang on.
Velvet Goldmine.
Internet. I'm just going to do my internet here. Just give me a second.
Internet, do your thing.
Internet, do your job.
Yeah, I heard. I do know what movie it was.
Yeah. Ewan McGregor has a sex scene.
Extra takes.
It is Velvet Goldmine, a film I've actually never heard of until now, and now I must see it for research.
Yes, I have to. I have to sit back and watch it for research reasons in a dark, empty room. In a dark room with tissues and hand moisturizer and for hygiene purposes. My girlfriend's gonna listen to this, and she's just gonna ask questions like.
But yeah, Blade Runner. It looks good. Although I don't really understand the trailers entirely because I have yet to see the original. I know the story more or less, and I know that upon reflection, there's a really awkward scene that really dates the original Blade Runner film, and it's basically the replicant rape scene, which is not framed as a rape scene.
Yeah.
But the cast looks good. The trailers look great. Roger Deakins' cinematography. I'm at least going to have an awesome visual experience. So yeah, I'll check it out. But I would like to see the first film before I see this one.
Truly, the thing you need to understand about the replicant rape scene is it doesn't count if she's a robot.
Yeah, and if there's smooth jazz playing over
totally
the soundtrack.
Okay.
Someone watched Westworld.
No, I haven't really been paying that much attention to Blade Runner, to be honest. But because I just get Alien Covenant vibes from it. I mean, it's... Ugh.
Do you really?
Yeah.
But it's not Ridley Scott.
I think it's a fair concern, at least. Like, it's like Alien Covenant too soon, man. It's too soon.
Yeah, but Alien Covenant was directed by Ridley Scott. This is not directed by Ridley Scott. This is...
I know,
This has nothing to do with him.
Like... Blade Runner's like, everyone thinks of Blade Runner as being so iconic, so I'm just like, how can they ever possibly match up with that?
Well, Blade Runner, and bear with me on this, ladies and gentlemen, Blade Runner is not great. It's good.
Right.
It's a good movie.
It's not really
but it's not
great,
like I watched Chinatown like first time for like a month ago. It's not Chinatown. It's not The Shining. It's not The Dark Knight. It's a good film though. And so I think I'm more excited because it's a new film from Denis Villeneuve, who finally made a movie that I love in Arrival, after making movies everyone else loved and I wasn't a fan of. He's finally won me over with his cinematic talent. And you've got Roger Deakins, who knows how to make some of those beautiful looking movies ever. See Skyfall, for example. No Country for Old Men. And it's this winning combination of just everything about it just looks so great. And I cannot wait to go. Not to mention it's in IMAX, and I'm going to see it in IMAX. I cannot wait. I'm really excited for Blade Runner 2049. Okay.
Right.
Sorry,
I am encouraged though that they've got Ryan Reynolds as the younger Blade Runner as well, and they haven't just
Gosling.
had Harrison. Yes,
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
Different
Ryan Gosling. Yeah, because if they just had Harrison Ford, I'd be like, ooh. But if it's like a passing of the torch, that could be okay.
Yeah. Okay. So continuing on.
There is a sequel to Blade Runner, and it's actually Kurt Russell's Soldier.
Yes,
they don't call it that, but it was based on the book. And the book, like in that, the soldiers are the replicants, because in Blade Runner, the replicants were made to be soldiers and expendable and all that. So Kurt Russell, if you watch that movie and think, well, he's a replicant, they're all replicants, it's really awesome. So as far as I'm concerned, that's the sequel right there.
Yes, that is a technical, spiritual sequel to Blade Runner. But more importantly, also coming out on October 6th is My Little Pony the movie, and I can't think of a movie that anybody else should be ever like the most excited. I'm kidding. We're moving on.
Well, no, let's not completely discredit. I think we're gonna go. No. Hear me out. I think we're gonna go for like the Velvet Goldmine approach, where we have to watch the movie with napkins and hand sanitizer and see where we go.
Jesus Christ, Trilby.
I obviously kid. I do not know anything about the TV series or the franchise. I will likely not be watching this film because it's not for me.
I brought it up as a joke. I have no idea what My Little Pony is. Okay, so
come on. Welcome to the herd, Trey. You going to join the bronies? Welcome to the herd.
Someone put the poster, but My Little Pony, welcome to the herd.
Well, I'm under the understanding that welcome to the herd is an actual brony phrase.
Is it really?
I believe so.
All right. Well,
I don't care if you didn't like the first 2 seasons. You got to watch 5 seasons to really get into it.
Okay. This is like the tape joke in Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff.
Bandit, have you watched My Little Pony?
Okay, all right. On October 13th...
No, Rocket, nobody's watched My Little Pony. Do I have to watch it myself?
Oh my god, I'm in tears again. Okay, on October 13th, which is my birthday, there's a movie coming out from the director of Casino Royale, Martin Campbell, and it's called The Foreigner, and it stars Jackie Chan. Football's on TV. I can hear my dad screaming in the room. It stars Jackie Chan. Have you guys heard of this movie?
No, but I got interested as soon as I heard from the director of Casino Royale, because that was a good movie.
It's an action film. It's about it's Jackie Chan plays this guy. I think he's ex whatever, and his daughter dies in a terrorist explosion, and he has to find the information of who's the guy that kills her, and he goes in like this manhunt for these people that took his daughter away from him. Pierce Brosnan's in it as a shady government agent, which is fun because Pierce Brosnan was in GoldenEye. Martin Campbell also directed GoldenEye, and it looks really interesting. It doesn't necessarily look fun. It looks like Jackie Chan's Taken, but
I was gonna say it sounds like Jackie Chan does a Liam Neeson.
Yeah, and so he's taken it pretty seriously, and he's going pretty dark with it. But I'm really excited. It looks like it looks like I'll be having fun because it's nice to watch Jackie Chan fight people, but it's not necessarily a fun movie per se.
I'm impressed that he's still around and kicking.
Yeah, you watch the trailer. He's like swinging around on things, and he's like jumping up in corners and stuff. He got an honorary Oscar last year, but he's still out and about.
Yeah, he's not doing like elaborate flips and stunts and fight scenes and stuff, but he's still, by the looks of the trailer at least, he is still doing like his own stunts and choreography in his fights and everything. There's even one really great shot in the trailer where he's about to fall off a roof. It does look good, but it is clearly an aged Jackie Chan. But that's probably the appeal of it. A bit like Taken.
One of the cooler shots, like some guy's going after him, he's trying to shoot him, and like the camera pans up, and he's just hiding in the corner and jumps on the guy. It's really cool looking.
Like the Batman.
Yeah, what were you saying?
I can't remember. Hang on, I can't remember where I heard it, but somebody said that these this sort of uptake of like Liam Neeson Taken kind of movies and all the other movies like that they're kind of like dad fantasy.
Oh yeah, it is. Completely.
Like all the dads are like,
essentially,
yeah, that'd be me. If anyone it's like my family.
Exactly, it's a dad wish fulfillment power fantasy because Taken is basically a story about this guy who's like, no, do not go to this foreign place because this is going to happen, and then it immediately happens. Yep. Like she's taken by the first person she meets off the plane.
I was right, and they all had to admit that he's right. That's the ultimate dad.
This
fantasy.
crotchety old guy that doesn't live, that like clearly is not happy with his life, gets to be like, see, I get to be the hero, and then we don't talk about the sequels, of course, but yeah, and then Taken 2. Oh no! Yeah, is it Taken 2 where the grenades off the roof? Yes,
exactly. He tracks down his daughter through grenade echolocation in a populated city.
Yeah, like I think they're in Istanbul or whatever, and it's just like his daughter's at the roof of this hotel, and he's like, "I think I know where you are, but grab a grenade and drop the grenade," and it blows up, and he hears the explosion. He's like, "Yes," and he uses that to find her, and I'm like, "You've killed at least 3 people already."
Sorry to take it back to this, but the way you described that, Trey, it sounded like a Rick and Morty thing. Like, Morty, I can't find you. Take a grenade.
Exactly.
Take a grenade. Just drop it. Just drop the grenade, Morty. It's gonna be fine.
You gotta take
I don't know, Rick. What about the innocent people? Don't think about it, Morty.
They're robots, Morty. They're Morty. They're robots.
Morty. I don't trust them. You gotta take those seeds, Morty. You gotta shove them way up inside your butt, Morty. Way up there, Morty.
No.
You're still taut and malleable. They'll just fall right out of me. You shove them way up there, Morty. It's got no charge left, Morty. It's got no charge left.
No, Morty. They're robots. It's okay to drop grenades on them. No, they're Albanians. It's the same thing. Taken 2 is incredibly racist.
Yeah, absolutely. Every brown person is a villain. So,
and then whenever they have a shot of the Albanian flag, they play like an ominous choir. It's very racist.
Again, that's dad fantasy, isn't it?
Yes. As I can attest to that. Excuse me.
Morty, you gotta drop the grenades. Put them through the chimney, Morty.
Fun fact: if there's any black listeners out there and you have a white girlfriend, watch Get Out with her family and see if you survive the night. Because I will tell you what. One of the most awkward experiences of my life, I'll tell you what, was watching Get Out with my girlfriend's family. Oh my god. Anywho, quick side tangent. No, but The Foreigner looks really fun. It looks like...
I completely forgot.
People are going to think that we're like on drugs for this entire podcast. We're like, what's wrong with these guys?
I'm on my second beer. I shouldn't be this drunk.
I've already told you I'm suffering through exhaustion. I've got to get up in the morning to talk about this. Shelby, what time is it over there, by the way? Like 1 o'clock?
It's 1:45 in the morning, but I don't have anything tomorrow, and this is too much fun to stop.
It's good to have you back, buddy. Talking to you, Bandit. It's good to have you back, Bandit. We missed you.
I miss being here. Now that I'm doing it, I'm like, yeah, this was fun.
He's got a taste for it.
He's got a taste for it again.
Certainly much better than working, I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Give it 12 more episodes, we're going to be back to hating each other and be like, ugh, we're going to talk about Star. When The Last Jedi comes out, we're just going to be at each other's throat again.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be that.
Anywho, what else we got? What's the next film?
We can talk about Jigsaw. Jigsaw comes out on October 27th.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I keep needing reminding that this is a thing, because I love the Saw films. Well, love might be a strong word. I have a strong emotional attachment to the Saw franchise, because they're films I grew up with watching with my brother and my dad, so that's kind of how I associate the franchise. But like, do we need to go back to this franchise?
Yeah.
It's like
I stopped watching after the first one. I watched the first one, then I was like, yeah, it was good. But
yeah, first one's a good movie. Nice twist at the end. Yeah.
The first three are definitely good, but if you're not really, really invested in the franchise, you can stop at 3.
I do like 6. I do like Saw 6. I think that's one of the more clever ones, one of the more fun ones.
They made 6 of those things?
Oh, they made 7.
No. This is the 8th film, man.
Oh my god!
No.
How many different ways can you think of killing people?
It's insane, but
you do not want to know how many answers to that question I have.
You can look up every single Saw trap. It's pretty crazy. I mean, there's the needle pit from the second one all the way to like the water trap in the 5th one, and then there's the
crucifix in the 3rd one. There's the pendulum in the 5th one.
Yeah, there's the de-ribbing thing, and I think it's in the 7th one.
There's the acid jar thing.
Yeah,
I'm trying to imagine
petroleum jelly and the petroleum jelly.
He's got an image of Bandit stroking his goatee. The D-ribber, you say?
Well, it's because I was watching
Emporium of Horrors.
No. Well, I thought of that because they have that in that Viking show on Netflix with the Blood Eagle, because that was a historical thing Vikings actually did, and they do that. They chop away the ribs to pull the lungs out through the back, and they show it in the show.
Oh my god!
But they Blood Eagle. Is it that? Is that what the de-ribbing is?
It's more like he's attached to this thing. Like, because I think the plot, I think it's in Saw 7, the guy fakes the fact that he survived the Jigsaw trap, and so when the new Jigsaw killer, who, spoiler alert, it's the Princess Bride guy, he kidnaps him and attaches, like, I think there's this thing attached to his ribs, and if he doesn't do a certain thing, I can't remember what it is, in a certain amount of time, all the ribs just kind of get yanked out of his chest.
The Princess Bride guy was a doctor, wasn't he?
Yeah, in the first movie,
and then all those kind of even more.
So it's revealed that he's been the mastermind the whole time since the first movie. I guess I don't know.
Why did he cut his own foot off?
Well, this is after he cut his own foot off. Like, he finds him in Jigsaw, the original Jigsaw, because the first movie ends, spoiler alert, Dr. Gordon gets away. I don't know why I know so much about this. Dr. Gordon gets away, and then Jigsaw gets up, and it's like, Adam, you're stuck in this room forever. Bye. End of movie, and it's great. And then it all gets complicated from there, and apparently Dr. Gordon was behind the whole thing after that.
Although...
Anyway.
To the franchise's credit, I think Saw 6 is the only movie in film history to actually show somebody get crushed by 2 walls. Because there's so many, like in Indiana Jones, when the walls are closing in, they somehow escape at the last second.
Was it Saw 5?
Okay, well, it's one of the Saw films where you actually do see somebody get crushed between 2 walls.
Actually, that's true. I don't think that's ever happened in a movie before. There's been so many situations where the walls are closing in, but they always get away. It's weird. That's the first time we've ever actually seen it,
yes, Trey, you are correct. It is Saw 5. I guess Wikipedia's that.
Haha.
Well, you guys really do know a lot about this stuff. It's making me a little bit worried.
I've seen like 4 of the movies. I think I've seen 1, 3, 4, and 7, and not in that order. Like
I've seen all of them at least twice, but not since Saw 3D. Saw 7 came out. It has been a while since.
It's been 2010. 2010. Why do I know this? I can't remember my algebra or I guess it was a pre-cal. I can't remember my pre-cal test for the life of me. I'm pretty sure I failed that, but God forbid I know the main characters in this Saw franchise.
Well, Saw is it feels like a relic from another time, because it was in the early 2000s when Saw came along, and then that was the premier horror franchise for a decade.
And then Paranormal Activity came out.
Yeah, Paranormal Activity opened the same Halloween as the last Saw film, and basically, So it was Saw 6. Yes, it was Saw 6, and then Saw 6 had the lowest franchise takings at the box office, and they thought, okay, we'll do one more to wrap up the franchise.
It made $200 million off of a budget of $3,000. You're like, oh man.
So they thought, okay, that we've kind of run out of steam here, and now nearly 6-7 years later, we're coming back to the franchise, and the trailers basically do look like Saw business as usual, but what is there anything else here? And from what I'm looking at, not really, but the franchise is known for twists and turns.
It looks less like a Saw movie and more like the first movie, which I think, if we're going back to Jigsaw now, which I'm slightly happy about, because as someone who was never the biggest fan of the gore porn that was the Saw movies, I liked more the intrigue of, like, who is this crazy killer going after people and doing this somewhat reasonable thing where he's killing monsters, I guess. I don't know. And but then it became more about, like, oh, let's have a twist and kill people at the end. But this seems to be more along the lines of, I mean, it's going to have a twist because they all have to, but it seems to be more and more lines back to the first movie.
It may be interesting because it's directed by the Spyrick brothers, who did Daybreakers and Predestination, which
I like Daybreakers.
It's good high concept horror and sci-fi. So
yeah,
they seem like directors who I probably wouldn't have pegged to do a Saw film, but they're a good pairing.
I like Daybreakers, and that's the I don't know if you guys can hear that's my dad cheering in the background. He also likes
Daybreakers because it's got. Yeah, because Daybreakers is the vampire film where Willem Dafoe fights off vampires with a crossbow and muscle cars.
Yeah, and like he was a vampire, but then he became a human, and now he fights them off. And Sam Neill's like an evil government vampire. Ethan Hawke's in it. It's a good film.
It's really good.
Yeah, and then like at the end, it's like vampire blood's the cure. I'm like, oh snap! Oh, sorry, spoilers. But, plot twist. Sorry,
Trey, I hadn't really seen that. I was just playing along.
Were you really?
Nah, I'm kidding.
It's a genuinely good film. There were to watch.
Yeah, but regardless of that ending, it's still just a really good film that you should still see.
Okay, unless Choby's lying and he actually still hasn't seen the movie.
No.
So
I have, just not since its release.
Okay, so here's what's going to happen. We're going to jump into November here. I'm going to introduce the film, and then I'm going to be right back, turn my light on, because it's dark in my room now, and I still have the clown on my mind. So we're in November officially, and let's talk about Thor Ragnarok.
Ooh.
Okay. One second, I just need to get... I need to get rid of my tissues and my hand moisturizer after talking about all that torture porn.
Disgusting man.
Oh, damn it, Trey, I was hoping you were gone. But yeah, Thor Ragnarok is my most anticipated film for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I love how self-aware it seems to be. Like, even in the way back for the very first trailer, when like Hulk runs out, and even Thor, he cheers like the audience is when they see Hulk come out. He's like, yes! I just love that he's totally aware. We know each other from work. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be so much fun, because we've been saying that for a long time with Guardians and all that. We're like, just get them out into space and let's have wacky space adventures. And they're fun, which is great.
Trey like raging fire, Bandit like smoldering fire.
Yeah, the Taika Waititi is
like
just a
giant forest fire. Yeah.
With Taika Waititi, it's just such a great, unique, creative voice as well. Like, I watched Hunt for the Wilder People again yesterday with my girlfriend on Netflix.
No spoilers, haven't seen it.
Hunt for the Wilder People.
Yeah, haven't seen it. No spoilers.
That's fine, but it is really... this guy is so fun and creative, and the villain of Hunt for the Wilder People, I actually found this out after rewatching the trailer, that she is in the film. He's recasting people from the previous film. I forget her name, but she plays the child officer in Hunt for the Wilder People, and she's just a huge amount of fun. Rachel House, that's her. She's like a stand-up comedian in New Zealand, but Taika Waititi has been saying in interviews recently how this is going to be one of the most standalone Marvel films, but it's still able to tie into like a bigger puzzle.
Apparently, it's going to change a lot. That's what I've read, at least. That's what I've heard. Like, Kevin Feige is like, this is going to be something that changes the universe in a big way, and I'm interested to see how it does, considering the fact that we know that Thor and Hulk make it out because we have an Avengers movie in a few months. We're going to get a trailer for that soon, by the way, guys. Get excited.
I think I know how they're going to change it. They're going to throw in a twist where you think Loki's dead at the end, but he isn't. Boom. Never done that before.
You know what?
How novel.
I can't necessarily agree with you, because they haven't done something like that before. That doesn't seem like a very Marvel thing to do, is to kill off a character and then not kill them off.
Yeah, they're not really a big fan of death fake out, are they?
Yeah.
They'd be setting a new precedent.
They do it literally every movie. Literally every movie, someone dies and then they don't die, except Yondu. Yondu's dead forever. Spoilers if you haven't seen Guardians 2. Oopsie daisy.
Oh, that was great, wasn't it? Yeah.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
What do you say? It's your father, but he ain't your daddy. Oh, the best Mary Poppins joke ever. I'm Mary Poppins. Okay, so the next film I say is I'm pulling out my phone to check IMDb because I'm stalling.
Oh, yeah. Doctor Strange is in Ragnarok as well. There was like a trailer where they showed him in it.
Oh, I haven't seen that trailer. I don't want to see it.
Thor was in the end credit scene of Doctor Strange with his never-ending beer glass. Remember he had that magical beer glass where he drinks it and it fills itself up? That's awesome.
I'm gutted that I lost mine as well. I lost my beer glass that did that.
I don't know how to break this to you, but I mean, I think I might have it. Yeah. After that one,
so you came to this country to steal my beer glass and you didn't even say hi.
No, there was that one night we had, remember? You don't want to
let me get the tissues out again.
The hand moisturizer out.
Oh, you keep on
my mic over.
You took it in this direction, Trey. You did this.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Moving forward.
I don't have that beer glass. I just summon a Mr. Meesey and say, "Go get me a beer," and then he just vanishes. It's
pass the butter.
Oh, one of the best lines of Rick and Morty. You pass butter. Oh my god!
Welcome to the club, pal.
Oh my god! What is my purpose? Oh my god!
You pass butter.
Okay, so on November 10th, Kenneth Branagh's new film, Murder on the Orient Express, is out. What's the game here, guys? What are you guys thinking?
I've never heard of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Murder on the Orient Express. Even
I did see the preview once. Yeah.
Even regardless of the film adaptation, is one of the most notorious murder mysteries in all of fiction.
Yeah,
I'm surprised you've not heard of it.
Yeah. It's the one. If you guys ever seen the show Adventure Time, they even do a play on Murder on the Orient Express. None of you guys probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
but those who watch Adventure Time,
based off the Agatha Christie novel from the 30s, where there's a murder on a train, and Hercule Poirot, played by Kenneth Branagh, who's also directing,
the public with the detective on the planet.
Yes, he's probably he's probably the best detective in the world. He has to solve the crime.
I'm really excited.
Well, I'm wondering if they will change the ending, because I'm not going to spoil it or say what happened.
Don't they? But, otherwise, why remake it and have the twist of who did it?
Yeah, but to be fair, if Bandit doesn't know the story, then maybe there is still an audience out there who just don't know
even if
what this is.
I guess I won't say it then, because even the poster kind of gives it away. But it's a good.
Does the poster give it away?
It kind of does. It's a good poster, though.
Yes, I know which one you mean.
It's basically Cluedo on a train, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Wait. What's Cluedo? What is that?
Cluedo is the it's Clue.
Sorry. We don't call it that here.
Yeah. Clue and Cluedo is different depending on your territory. In the UK, it's called Clue.
Have you seen the 80s? I had the same thing with Where's Waldo and Where's Wally. Apparently, they call it Wally in other places. Never knew that. Fun fact. Okay. Have you seen the Clue movie Bandit from '86 with Tim Curry?
No.
That's a good film. I think more people need to watch that movie. It's a good one. Just a random tangent that's wrong that because Tim Curry's a legend, and I can't. Anyways.
But yeah, Murder on the Orient Express has probably got outside of a Marvel film, probably has the biggest cast of the rest of the year as well.
I really liked the trailer. I know a lot of people didn't like the trailer, but I really liked the trailer.
I liked the trailer. I just wasn't a big fan of the music choice.
I'm an Imagine Dragons fan, so I couldn't complain. It's a good song, and it's a good trailer, so I think they worked well together. Is it in 70mm? I just looked it up. Apparently, are they showing it in 70mm? All right.
So that would be cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the cast just now. I just realized that Lucy Boynton's in this, who's the girl from Sing Street.
Oh, still haven't seen Sing Street. It's on the list.
Oh, I thought you'd seen Sing Street. She's also going to be in Bohemian Rhapsody. She was cast in the past day or two.
Did you see that picture of Rami Malek as
Freddie Mercury?
Freddie Mercury. Have you guys seen that picture?
If you hadn't told me it was a still from the film, I would have thought that was an actual picture.
When I first saw the picture, I thought it was, and I read the caption. I was like, wait, what? He looks like he's got it, and that makes me really excited. But I'm worried that they're not going to show. You know what I mean? Apparently the reason that Sacha Baron Cohen left is because the members of Queen weren't cool with him showing the more raw side of Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
And So I feel like it's going to be kind of sanitized, but I'll still see it.
Yeah, and you can't really annoy Queen when making this film because they hold the license to all of the music. If you want a Queen biopic with the music, you've got to play by their rules.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Murder on the Orient Express.
Murders on the Orient Express. It looks really cool, though, and I think everyone in it... I think I know, even if they don't do the ending of the book, I think I know who does it. I have my theory. I won't say it here, but I am looking forward to the film. What about you, Ben? I guess since you've never heard of this, you don't really have much to add, but, I mean, you like a good murder mystery, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. But the problem with murder mysteries is it can literally be anyone. So you're sitting there trying to play the detective going, no, I think it might be this person. But at the end, they always do it where it could just be anyone.
Well, Clue's a good... they play on that really well. The 86 Clue movie. It's a comedy, so they play on the whole tropes of all that and whatnot. It's a good mystery, too. Yeah, so if you want to see a movie that subverts those expectations, Clue's a good movie to watch. Mm-hmm. Okay, speaking of good movies, I don't know, should we just skip over Justice League? All right, we'll talk about Justice League. On November 17th, Justice League opens, and finally...
In the UK, the week before Justice League, we get Paddington 2. I'd rather talk about that.
It's not an IMDb, so I had no idea it was happening.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to come out in America like a few months later, because that's what they did with the first Paddington. But in the UK, release date that I've got, Paddington is November 10th.
Okay, yeah.
It looks good.
January 12th. That's when we get Paddington 2.
See, it's going for that Oscar push.
I haven't seen the first one, so yeah.
Oh, you gotta see Paddington.
I know. I have to see Paddington.
The trailers were the worst, but the film was so good.
It wasn't the trailers. I just never got around to watching it. You know.
Oh, okay. Anyway, yeah, Paddington 2 is going to be better than Justice League. I'm calling it now.
Of course it. Well, I mean, why wouldn't it be? Anything's going to be better than Justice League at this point. What do you?
Tell me, do you eat marmalade sandwiches? You will.
You will.
Okay, let's talk about Justice League. Bandit, you have not been here for all the Justice League talk we've had about everything from Zack Snyder leaving from Tragedy to Joss Whedon stepping over to Joss Whedon now having writing credit on the movie to Ben Affleck being in and then being out and then being in and being out to the Flash drama.
Shaking it all about.
Yeah, do the hokey pokey.
Shaking it all about. I guess Joss Whedon stepping in to take over from Zack Snyder is like, that's going to be the answer to the age-old question, can you polish a turd? And we'll find out when Justice League comes out.
I think there will be two good scenes in the movie, and it's going to involve the characters all sitting down in a circle and talking, because that's what Joss Whedon does the best. He does character interaction well, and then all the action is going to be nonsensical. None of it's going to make any sense, and character motivations are going to be all off, and it's just going to be a mess. I guarantee
Joss Whedon, he wasn't there from the beginning, so can he really make that much of a difference? I don't know. I mean,
he's apparently done enough differently that they've given him screenwriting credit. I think the reshoots were apparently very extensive.
Yeah, from the reports are conflicting, but from what the general consensus is that Joss Whedon has basically refilmed or re-recorded most of the dialogue-heavy sequences, and Zack Snyder's action sequences and those set pieces, which were probably already done before he actually started filming those conversation scenes, because all of that is so much like previs and studio mandates. That's going to be staying.
That's really encouraging, because there is like so much great character moments you can have with the members of the Justice League and all the different characters because they have such distinctively different characters. So that's really encouraging for me, because that was the problem with Zack Snyder, is he made everybody dark and gritty Batman,
and no one ever had a conversation.
No one ever had a conversation. And it's like there was a great bit in the Hush comic, like just a really good character moment where Poison Ivy, who throws the dust that controls your mind, she does that to Superman, and she forces Superman and Batman to fight. And Superman's holding back, of course, because he doesn't want to kill Batman. And Batman sort of shocks him out of it by having Catwoman pretend to, like, throw Lois Lane off a roof so that Superman's, like, heroism overpowers the thing and he goes up and saves Lois Lane because that's what he always does. And then at the end, like, Catwoman just, like, punches Poison Ivy in the face and just knocks her out. And Superman is like, was that really necessary? And, like, Batman and Catwoman sort of look at each other and look back and they both say in unison, yes.
Yes.
But it's like, that's a good character thing between the two of them and Superman. And it's like, see, stuff like that is stuff that Josh Whedon could do in the movie. But Zack Snyder would never do something like that.
Even if you don't want to do, like, I get the idea of not wanting to stick to the Marvel movie formula. I understand that mentality.
Don't make a good movie.
Well, no, but here's my thing. But, like, no, I get when people say they mean, like, the tone thing of, like, let's make everything a joke. And I get that. But just look at the Marvel Netflix stuff. I mean, if you want to have something like going back to Batman and Superman, where you have two characters of different ideologies, different ideas of what heroism is, just look at the Punisher and Daredevil stuff from last season, of season 2 of Daredevil, where I think it's the episode where they're on the rooftop and they're just talking, and it's just them arguing about, like, what it means to be a hero for the entire episode, and it's easily the best episode of the entire season. And so you don't have to have everything be lighthearted and jokey. You just have to have them have actual character. And that's what Snyder was always missing. He always wanted to be like, how cool would it be if we did Dark Knight Returns and Death of Superman together, and then put the Justice League in it, and then and Lex Luthor was Max Landis, as opposed to, letting Batman and Superman actually exchange in dialogue, which they never do, by the way, until they fight. I'm pretty sure that never happens.
And even then, they should have talked at least for 10 seconds before that in order to sort out so they didn't...
Literally one sentence. Bruce, Lex Luthor has my mom. Don't hit me. That's all oh, my God.
But if they want to... I can understand why they're worried about it becoming too Marvel-like, but again, the answer's in the comics, because the key thing that has always differentiated the characters in DC from the characters in Marvel is the characters in DC, they were always archetypes. Superman's a good hero, and everyone was an archetype, and Marvel said, let's look more at the people sort of behind the mask and really understand who they are as people rather than just symbols that are held up. So you could still have great character moments with DC with them being archetypes, but it's like you have to actually make them distinct from each other. Everyone in Marvel is kind of the same because they're all quippy and, like, that's fun to watch too, but you can have just as much fun with people that are distinctively different archetypes. Like Aquaman should be very, like, I was at least happy to see he's a bit more jokey because that's what he's supposed to be like. He's supposed to be kind of a funny guy.
Well, he's more of just a surfer dude in this, and just his mere presence should be comedic when compared to, say, Batman or Wonder Woman, who are just the antithesis of that.
Yeah, like I like that he looks at Batman and goes, "You're a bat. I can dig it." Like that's cool.
Yeah,
that fits his character. But I don't like that. Batman is making jokes. I don't like that Batman is like, "What's your superpower? I'm rich." Funny line, but Batman should not be like that. Batman should always be straight.
Batman,
I think Bruce
has
Wayne gotta make them archetypes if they're going to have funny interactions,
He's had dry humor to him in the comics before. That is he is usually the straight man, but he does have he has wit. He's not quippy per se, but he has wit.
Bruce Wayne saying
like
that as
cutting
well.
wit,
Since it's Bruce Wayne saying that and not Batman, I think the joke works. I think.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But then again, when Cyborg's like, "Didn't think you were ruined," Batman's like, "I'm ruined. It's useful." I'm like, Batman shouldn't be making jokes. You're right, Bandit, about that. But I think the "I'm rich" line works. I laughed, so maybe that's why I like it. But they're having to put a lot in this movie. They're doing Barry Allen's dad. They're doing, I guess, the Cyborg football stuff. We see him when he's a football player. They're doing the what am I thinking? Themyscirians. Oh my God, the Amazonians with the mother boxes, and they're setting up Darkseid by doing Steppenwolf. There's a lot. How long is this movie? Because there's a lot in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only character in Justice League who should have like the Josh Whedon Marvel kind of humor is the Flash. Like that's accurately him. He's him and Hal Jordan Green Lantern. He's not in it yet, but they're usually mates, and they're like they just basically talk crap about everyone else in the Justice League, and they're like always ripping on Batman, and he's just like ignoring them and stuff. So
just do Justice League War. I don't know if you guys ever saw that animated movie.
I was not a fan of that film.
Really? Was it the Wonder Woman stuff?
No, the action was good, and the Wonder Woman stuff was fine. It was more like Superman was a bully.
Yeah,
I hated Superman's characterization.
New 52 Superman and Wonder Woman characterizations were really odd.
Having read the Justice League War graphic novel, like that 6-7 issue run that the film's based off, the characterization's completely different. Like they completely changed Superman just for that film to be a bully, and then after like a 5-minute sequence where Superman has literally launched Batman and Green Lantern across buildings and thrown them through construction sites, and Batman's like, "Oh, you bruise, but you don't kill."
It's like, what about all the people in those buildings? Didn't you see Man of Steel?
And if it wasn't for the fact that Green Lantern had a force field, that wall in that office that he just destroyed would now be decorated a new color called Hint of Brain.
Someone's been screenwriting.
and he's just like, "Oh no, you bruise, but you don't kill." It was like, what happened to the past 5 minutes? What is this? No, Justice League War is not a good film, but the animation and the action's pretty good though, and also the ice cream bit is actually done in the Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah, lovely. I like that's a nice homage.
Hey, you should be so proud of yourself.
Very proud. Yeah.
Speaking about Justice League and DC news, do you guys know? Is it true the rumor that Shazam might be played by John Cena?
I have no idea.
Or is that just a rumor?
I don't know.
Well, for anyone who doesn't know,
Shazam means aside. I don't think there's a lot of. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't think there's much plight to it, because there's always rumor of like, wouldn't this person be like the Tyrese from Fast and Furious was supposedly playing Jon Stewart for like 2 years. I'm just saying there's never really much casting rumors and fan castings are things that happen all the time.
That would be pretty cool if it's true, because for anyone who doesn't know though, Shazam is a character where it's a 12-year-old kid. And he says Shazam and he gets struck by lightning and then he transforms into like a Superman-type hero. He's magic-based, he's not like super... And he transforms into a Superman-like hero because Superman is his favourite hero as a kid. So it would be there'd be a 12-year-old kid gets struck by lightning and turns into John Cena. Now, John Cena in the wrestling field, he is kind of childlike. He is like the little kid's favourite wrestler. Adults hate him, but he's got that kind of childlike dancing around, whoop, you can't see me. So he is oddly a weirdly good fit for Shazam in that. But also, since Shazam's nemesis is Black Adam, yeah, which is going to be played by The Rock, and John Cena and The Rock do hate each other in real life, so it'll kind of be like a film version of them wrestling again, which is also kind of cool. So that would kind of be a genius way for them to pull a lot of like the John Cena young fans into movies as well. So if that rumor does turn out to be true, that could actually be a genius move for them.
For Shazam, because we've got David F. Sandberg who's going to be directing that, I have a feeling they're going to wait until Flashpoint before they do something like Shazam, because Shazam is magic based and his origin story is pretty weird. So they're going to probably do Flashpoint and reboot the universe to make it like maybe not resemble Marvel, but to maybe lighten the tone and to and to get rid of Ben Affleck and to keep the casting choices that people did like and the stuff that didn't like and stuff. And then they can go slightly weirder with the source material, because Captain Marvel, like I said, is pretty weird in terms of his origin, because it's like Billy Batson finds this weird man in a cave, and then he gives him like the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the speed of Mercury, because the Shazam, Shazam, is based off one of the immortals that he gets his powers from. And you probably can't really do that in a Zack Snyder universe. I think they've kind of written themselves into a corner.
But mind you, like in Suicide Squad, they introduced magic. There are characters who are just magical.
That is true, and Suicide Squad is worse than death.
But it's not the introduction
Suicide
of magic
Squad
that
made me want to drink bleach.
Well, me too, yeah, but it wasn't the inclusion of magic that made that movie crap.
Yeah, that's fair. I kind of forget about Suicide Squad.
Nor does the inclusion of magic make anything better, Bandit.
I'm just saying it can work in that dark Zack Snyder universe. That's all.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to make a dramatic introduction. I had to go pee. I just wanted to make a dramatic introduction. I didn't even know what you guys were talking about, so I just.
Did you say Shazam as you were peeing?
Oh, what are you guys talking about? I blacked out. What we discussed?
We've talked about how I just completely forgot Suicide Squad was a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, it's awful.
Yeah,
it's honestly the worst. It's maybe the worst thing I've seen in a very long time.
But Wonder Woman, we all said with Wonder Woman, they just need one good movie to maybe sort of reset the template, and then they can try again. And Wonder Woman was good. It wasn't great.
I think Nostalgic review put it great when it was like, yeah, good enough. I think that was exactly. Like in the Nostalgic review, he was like, this picture Wonder Woman's like good enough, and you're right. They got themselves back on track. I cannot wait to see the track just completely go off again because Justice League is great. And is there a film coming out that is? I think it's Aquaman, right? That's the next confirmed actual movie happening is Aquaman.
Yeah, after Justice League, Aquaman's the only film in active production.
Yeah, the Batman. I think losing didn't what's his face leave the Batman? Am I making that up when I said Matt Reeves is no longer doing Batman?
Well, no, he's still doing it. We just don't have any confirmed dates.
And they've been rewriting the script over and over, and Flash, God forbid Flash. Hell, I could direct Flash at this point, but I don't. And Shazam, that's been confirmed for like 5 years, but nothing's happened with that. And
why are they even making a Flash movie? I'm like, dude, you got a whole TV show. You're just going to retell the story from the TV show.
Well, I was just cast
do a movie as someone else. Do a Shazam movie.
They cast someone as Nightwing for a TV series of like the Titans, and it's like, so you're not going to be doing Nightwing or anything in the movies?
Yeah, well, Robin's dead, but they're doing what's his face from Pirates? What's his name? Brendan. What's his face? He's Nightwing, which I'm like, good pull, I guess.
But when I first saw that headline, I was like, they're doing a Titans movie, but no, it's the TV series. It just feels really weird to me.
Well, they've been talking about Titans for like 2 years at this point. I remember back when like a little promotional art came out and it was Nightwing and it was like Titans coming to TNT. I'm like, all right, no. And then nothing ever happened. But I guess they finally started casting, which I'll watch it. I'll give it a few episodes and see if it's good or not. You know how I'm with TV though. I'm very picky with my TV. Okay, speaking of very picky, let's continue on. We're at 2.5 hours.
So one more thing, DC related. The Wonder Woman creator biopic, Professor Marsden and the Wonder Woman. And that comes out November as well, I think, and that at least in the UK, and that premiered at TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival, this past couple of days, and the reviews have been really, really good for it.
Yeah, you know what didn't get great reviews at TIFF was Suburbicon.
It's not been slated, but it is hovering like the 50-40% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is that shouldn't dictate whether or not you see it or your anticipation, but it's
well, and the Alexander Payne movie Downsizing. This is the indie portion of the show. The movie Downsizing, which is from the guy that did Sideways and what else did he did? The Descendants with George Clooney and Shailene Woodley. Fun fact. That's a good movie, by the way. Apparently that one's terrible with Matt Damon. A lot of disappointing films apparently coming out of TIFF. Apparently also Molly's Game isn't great, which is disappointing, but we'll get to that in a second. But on November 22nd, Pixar releases their newest film called Coco.
I keep forgetting they've got another film out because we had Cars 3 and then I just sort of mentally tuned out.
Now, Bandit, if you're not aware, this is the newest film from Pixar, and it's a film based around the Day of the Dead, which if it sounds familiar, that's because there was an animated film called The Book of Life, which is a good movie. Really? It's not great, but it's a good movie. Ice Cube as like a god is some majestic casting. Just Ice Cube in a family-friendly film.
And it always comes back.
That's awesome.
Well, he plays a godlike figure. Like he plays like this angelic deity in a sense, kind of the opposite to the Dios de los Muertos people. And
so he doesn't do the ranting from the.
No, he's like super movie. Happy and cheery, and I'm like, who made Ice Cube voice this really happy, cheery
Korean
guy?
Jesus, he ain't got time for your problems.
So do you think that Ice Cube is in the Book of Life, and then he appears in Coco, and he's like, it's the same day, do the same case.
Just do the same thing. Yeah, no,
it's the same Day of the Dead, bitch.
It's.
Remember we did that Ice Cube episode where everything was Ice Cube?
Yeah, it all comes full circle, doesn't it?
It's the last. It's the episode's currently on iTunes. It's the Ice Cube episode. It's from Lee Unkrich, I believe his name is, the director. He's done other Pixar films, but he's known for directing Toy Story 3, which is easily one of the best Pixar films out there. It's one of my favorite movies, period. And so I'm very excited to see how this turns out. I might be skipping the first few minutes because apparently the short film is a Frozen short. I might be skipping that. I don't know. I'm not going to sit through that. But I don't know. What do you guys think about this? The idea of the new Pixar film. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be good.
Riveting.
Yeah. I think it will be. It's just that we've not really. We've just not seen much marketing.
I agree.
I agree. We've just not seen much marketing for Coco for the past couple of months. I think maybe they're waiting for Lego Ninjago. And then they'll drop another trailer, and maybe they're going to wait until like the last month or two, and then saturate the market with.
They'll give us a new trailer around Thor time, because that's the next kind of big Disney property, and that comes out a few weeks before. So, and this is the week of Thanksgiving, and that's when you get your big film. You get your Moanas, your Big Hero 6s, your Frozens. You know, Disney always releases an animated film around this time, and usually does exceptionally well.
They saw the lackluster box office of Kubo and the Two Strings, and they thought, "Oh, we've got another animated film about a young boy and a stringed instrument. This might backfire."
It's a shame, because Kubo and the Two Strings is fantastic. Shut up, Bandit. Shut up, Bandit.
Just cut him right off of the.
When was the last time you watched it? You only watched it once, right? You should probably check it out again and see what happens. It's good.
Trey, you kind of took like a Bruce Wayne Batman approach. Like if there's even a 1% chance that Bandit's not going to talk about Kubo and the Two String, we'll have to treat it as an episode.
Absolute certainty.
I couldn't. I honestly though, it's I can't do it right now. I'm in no mood to argue with Bandit right now. No.
I was just looking at the Wikipedia page for Coco, and I saw screenplay by Adrian Molina, and for some reason I read it as Alfred Molina. So I was like, the Dr. Octopus? He's
Dr. Octopus writes the new Spider-Man, or writes the new Coco.
Alfred Molina in Rick and Morty as the devil.
Oh my god. I mean, I'm the devil, but your grandpa is the devil. I love that, yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
He gets Mark Zuckerberg or whatever, and they beat him up to X, go and give it to you. It's perfect. And I think it's the after credits scene where they like beat up a bunch of like bullies and like white supremacists to the song. Anyways, back to
Coco looks good. I just need to see more. Yes. I'm not really hyped for it because it's just been really low profile.
I have faith in the directors of Toy Story 3, and it's Pixar, and they haven't wronged me in a long time. I haven't seen Cars 3, and I don't plan to. I liked Good Dinosaur. I like Finding Dory. Loved Inside Out. They haven't wronged me in a few years. So that same weekend, or that same weekish, I guess, is Molly's Game, which we talked about, I believe it was last week. And that's the film written and directed by Aaron Sorkin, who you probably know of, Bandit. You know who Aaron Sorkin is, don't you?
Yep.
Are you lying to me?
The name rings a bell, yeah.
The Social Network.
Social Network.
Okay, great.
Steve Jobs, and so it tells the story of Jessica Chastain. Those are great movies. Jessica Chastain plays Molly Bloom, I think her name is, and she runs. It's based off a true story of how she ran a casino and like an illegal gambling thing for celebrities in Hollywood. Tobey Maguire was a part of it, apparently, and the trailer was out, and it looks pretty good. It looks very Sorkin. You know, I'm imagining a lot of hallways, a lot of walking and talking. But I think it might have been last episode where we talked about he's directing it, and that makes me concerned because it doesn't necessarily have a style to it, and it feels more TV movie in that sense than something like a Danny Boyle film or a David Fincher film or even an episode of The West Wing. I don't know. What do you think, Trilby? We talked about this last week, but do you have anything else you want to add?
The trailer looks good. I love like Jessica Chastain and almost anything she's in, and the cast is good. Idris Elba as well. It's great to see him getting like more high profile Oscar potential films like this. The reviews have actually been pretty good. Like it is at 90% on Rotten Tomatoes with only 10 reviews, but the average rating is floating around like the 6 area. So they're good reviews, but they're not glowing.
I hear it's about a B, like a B movie, like not like B as in like it's can be, but like as in the great as like a B-ish, which mildly upsets me because he's done a lot of fantastic work, and I'm hoping that the script is better than the actual movie itself. But I'm thinking this might be a case of much like a film like Wind River, which is Bandit. You don't know me and the tragedy of Wind River, but we'll talk about that another time.
Talking about the butts.
Elizabeth Olsen.
You've missed a lot.
It's been a bit, Bandit. But it's might be a situation of first-time directoritis.
Yeah, but the film's been distributed by SDX Entertainment, who are also doing they're doing The Foreigner as well. They're the distributors of that, and they're a studio I've really been keeping my eye on. They did The Gift, Bad Moms, Edge of 17, and all some really good original.
Bad Moms made a lot of money, by the way. Like no one realized Bad Moms made like $200-something million. Bad Moms it's getting a sequel for a reason.
Yeah, Bad Moms Christmas, which looks pretty good.
It looks fun, and I didn't love the first one, but it's whatever. Okay, let's keep moving here. I'll tell you what, guys, we're going to jump to December. I'm going to write this down real quick.
It's the most wonderful time
to stall, thanks, Trilby.
With Trey is stalling and Bandit is drinking.
Trilby, but you're the one on 2 beers. Okay, so December 8th. The Disaster Artist opens, and this is the film based on The Room from the Tommy Wiseau bad movie classic, directed by James Franco, who also stars in the film, and it's based off of the book written by the guy that plays Mark in The Room, of Oh Hi Mark fame.
Hi Mark.
Yeah, and so I don't know if you've heard of this film, and I don't know if you've seen the trailer for this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen it.
Hello? Sorry, you went quiet there for a second. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm hoping that, because apparently the true story behind this is pretty, I don't want to say it's crazy, but it's pretty interesting in the sense that you're going to want, it's essentially about a friendship that falls apart because one of the friends is an egotistical, easily jealous, monster of a person. And it's the story of the guy that essentially tries to wrangle him in and tries to have this kind of relationship with him, and not in that sense, but friendship with him, and it ends up ruining his career, kind of ruining both their careers. And so I'm interested to see if that's how, because they're having the brothers, Dave Franco and James Franco, play the two characters, and so I'm really intrigued. Plus, the reviews are out, and everyone's loving it. So,
yeah, should be fun.
Yeah, no, it's apparently also there was a book came out about what a nightmare it was to film that and all that. Is that what movie?
The film is based off that book, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, Disaster Artist. Yeah.
Because I've heard good things about that book, but I've never actually seen the movie. I've just watched the Nostalgia Critic review of it.
There's just so much potential to be mined here. Whether it's Tommy Wiseau, who is the writer, director, and the producer and everything, but he forgets his own lines during filming.
What is line?
What is line? How they shot mostly on a soundstage, just a really poor green screen in the background, and how he had to replace according to the Disaster Artist book, Tommy Wiseau replaced the film crew 2 times, but according to Wiseau himself, he's replaced the film crew 4 times. So and it was a surprisingly big production. They shot for 6 months. There were over 400 people involved, and one of the executive producers, even though he's still credited in the film, died years prior to filming.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there's a lot of material here, and I'm barely scratching the surface here. I don't want to ruin anything in case the film gets into it all. But this is great material, and Seth Rogen and James Franco, I think they're the right guys to mine it.
Those are the guys to do. If you're gonna make a movie on this, those are the guys to make it. And I'm excited to see how James Franco directs, because it's his first time directing, I do believe. So I'm excited to see how he handles the director's chair, and he's starring in it. And it looks like it's getting really good reviews, and it's being released around Oscar time. This might be an Oscar caliber film, which I'm excited about.
I hope this comes to the UK, because this does not have a UK release date yet.
Oh, that would suck. Well, there are ways we can work around that.
There are ways. Get on my pirate ship, Trilby.
Avasti.
To the good ship Disaster Artist.
Yeah, I mean that trailer where he's where he finally gets the line right, and they're all like, "Yeah," it's that does explain a lot. It does explain where people are like, why would they put that in the movie? Why wouldn't you get him to say it again? And it's okay, now I get it. Now I understand.
Yeah, that really happened.
As someone who has made a film before, sometimes when an actor's just not getting it, whether it be in action or a line, when they finally do get it, that's the only usable take they have. And so sometimes you just gotta just put that take in and just keep moving.
Sometimes you go, you know what? We'll just keep that and we'll just dub it later. Oh, hi, Mark.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll dub it later.
Not. Hi, Mark.
I did. And he just throws the water bottle, which apparently was just him carrying a water bottle and was not meant to be a prop.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably got so hot in the room or something, so he was thirsty and had a water bottle.
He did so many takes that what the take he finally used is when he walks out with the water bottle, yeah.
So they have to use it, yeah.
You're gonna have to speak up, I can't hear through the door.
What is line?
Where is he from, Tommy Wiseau? Because
I don't even think he knows.
He keeps it a closely guarded secret. People have asked him, but he won't say where he's from. So there's only one explanation. He must be wanted for murder in some crime somewhere.
No, he's an alien.
Admit where he's from.
He's an alien. He's from like Mars or something. He just kind of came down.
He's from some weird alien planet where they have sex through the belly button, which explains the sex scenes. That explains the sex scenes in the film.
Oh man! All right, so continue.
I know, folks. The napkins are not coming back out because the belly button is just disgusting. It's full of fluff. It's full of fluff and germs.
Find some real gross stuff. Just stick your finger in your belly button and sniff, and it's awful. Not that I know that. Anyways, let's keep moving on.
that was way too specific, Trey.
Right? Might just cut that. I will. I'm too lazy. So on December 15th, this little indie film comes out called Ferdinand. I'm kidding. Let's talk about Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Ferdinand does not look terrible.
It's Kate McKinnon. I don't trust it. Let's talk about Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Okay, so we talked about this briefly in the news stuff, but despite all the drama happening on Lucasfilm, I could not be more excited for this film. I mean, everything I've seen from the film, which is not much, which is also good, I'm in love with the idea that we're finally going to get, because it was nice to have Star Wars back with Force Awakens, but Rogue One promised to be something different, and we were promised to get something darker, and in a sense we did, in the fact that we got a okay shot war film, but it still relied so much on what we knew before. Everything from the classic sets, the 70s feel, the space battle, which felt like I was watching a Battlefront playthrough, the Vader fight, which was fantastic, but it was something we've seen. We've seen Vader kill people before. Granted, it was in the comic books, but I've still seen, like, it relied on things that we've already known. I'm just hoping that The Last Jedi, and from the looks of it will give us something different. It's going to take it in that darker direction, and we're going to rely on a really talented filmmaker and writer to give us something awesome. And I'm really hoping that we can get the new Star Wars vibe of, like, with all the good special effects and the good camera work and all that stuff with something new. I want something new from Star Wars. I'm hoping this is it.
I agree 100%. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a remake of Empire Strikes Back. Sorry, It's like you know, like with Princess Leia.
I was saving the argument for this part of the podcast.
Yeah,
guys,
me too. you know, in Empire Strikes Back, when when Boba Fett flies off with Han Solo, and you see that look on Princess Leia's face. Whenever I think about whether this movie's going to be good or not, that's the look on my face that I have, where I'm just like. Oh.
I think of when Leia goes back to save Luke. I'm just like, we have to go back, you know.
I know, but this is for me, like, she has that look on her face, like, will I ever see him again? When I think about The Last Jedi, I'm like, will we ever see good Star Wars again? I don't know.
Oh, we've got good Star Wars in the last, 2 years, Bandit. I know you don't. I know you're like...
No, we haven't. We've gotten good remakes. We haven't gotten good Star Wars again.
Jesus Christ. All right, here's what I will say. I think if the film... I'm letting the film have a dark ending. I'm okay with the film ending on not a high note, and I don't think if the film ends that way, I don't think that means it's a remake of Empire Strikes Back. If the film does stuff that is enough different and it can have similar beats in the sense that someone's getting trained, but just because Luke trains Rey to be a Jedi, and apparently he dies at the end, which is like, okay. But if they do enough different with what we know that is the second part of a trilogy formula, and it still has that dark ending, and it ends on a cliffhanger, I'm completely fine with that, because that doesn't necessarily mean it'll be a remake of Empire. Trilby, you have not spoken. What do you... Yeah? Hello?
Yeah.
Oh,
it looks... That's okay. I was just thinking, do I do another Rick and Morty catchphrase? No, yeah. Last Jedi, I think is... I really hope that they do push the boat out more. But the fact that Rian Johnson apparently has had such a great working relationship with Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy and has not done anything to really rock the boat means that he has not done enough to get himself fired from the project.
Oh yeah, the fact that he's on board means that, oh man, you're right, they are just going to do the same thing, because otherwise they would have fired him by now.
Because I obviously the original Star Wars trilogy is just a great formula. It's one of the great all-time movie trilogies, and Empire Strikes Back is probably one of the best sci-fi movies ever made, if you count Star Wars as sci-fi, which I know some people don't, some really weird people.
It's fantasy. Sorry.
Sci-fi fans. I think sci-fi is in the sentence. It's in the discussion.
Yes.
But for The Last Jedi, I think you really do have an opportunity here to subvert expectations and to go into really different, strange directions. Yes. And even if it is something like Rey turning to the dark side, or some subversion of what, even if it's not specifically that, just a subversion of what we expect. Because The Force Awakens, good, solid film, but it is so beholden to the established template that they even brought in another Death Star. Yeah. And I think for The Last Jedi, we've got to get away from that. There's only so far you can go with that. And this film is going to make $1 billion at least, regardless of what they do. Yeah. So why not change the approach, even if it's just a bit?
You know, people said that about Batman v Superman, and it turned out not to be true. So stranger things have happened.
If the film is as terrible and poorly received as Batman v Superman is, it will not make $1 billion. Yeah. But this film's not getting a 22% on Rotten Tomatoes, is what I'm trying to get at. You know,
and
here's the thing.
And Rogue One, even though it did divide people to an extent, it didn't get a Batman v Superman reception, but it still did divide the fan base in its own sort of way. It still
generally
made $1 billion.
Well received, and hell, if Despicable Me 3 can make $1 billion on the cool, I don't see why this film's going to make $1 billion easy. This movie's going to do 180 opening weekend. It's going to do $1 billion easily.
Yeah, and even if it's just curious people wanting to know what Carrie Fisher's last film role is, because that is another aspect of, floating over the production, and it's something people want to know about.
May I ask a question? Would you be okay with them recasting Leia if they had to bring her back for Episode 9? Because I am, but I don't think the rest of the world is. Is anyone else okay with that?
We'll talk about that, but just before we jump on, because you guys mentioned that you reckon it's going to make $1 billion no matter what. I would actually disagree, because I think there's also this underlying thing of I love your idea, Trey, of that if Rey turned to the dark side and killed Luke, that'd be fantastic, because we've seen a lot of throughout Star Wars, the good guy gets tempted, but they never actually take that deal. It'd be great to actually see one of them actually take that deal for once. And I agree with you. I think that'd be fantastic. I just don't think they would ever do that, partly because of the whole Mary Sue thing, and I don't want to unpack the whole Mary Sue thing again, but
please don't.
What that shows me is, because they've invested so much in Rey, she's the good guy now. They're not going to tarnish her by turning her into a bad guy, and that speaks to a bigger issue, which is why I think there is a chance it might not make as much money as we think, which is Rey is the main character now. Star Wars is now for her. It's for people like her. Star Wars used to be the vehicle of the teenage fan boy. Now they're trying to make it the vehicle for the teenage fan girl, and there's just not enough of them to pull in this $1 billion mark. Star Wars is so successful because of the nerdy boys who see it over and over and over and over and over and over.
Here's what
there's
I will
very few
tell
nerdy
you.
girls who do that. So I think
there's
a
franchise called Hunger Games Twilight that will disagree with that sentiment that fangirls.
They're not Star Wars fans. They're not Star Wars fans. It's a different type of fan.
But you did say that a fangirl base cannot make a film. Twilight made billions of dollars for that reason.
Sure, but that's not. But you're rejecting...
Not to mention, Star Wars is a 4-quadrant film, and the fact that it appeals to, much like a Pixar film, it'll appeal to boys, girls, old, and young. It doesn't just lean towards one specific market.
But that's true. I mean, Hunger Games does have a certain type of fan base that sees it over and over again. Star Wars also has a certain type of fan base who sees it over and over again, but that's not the fan base they're playing to. And I personally also kind of get this feeling when I watch these movies. I'm like, well, this isn't really for me anymore. You know, and it's also maybe it's my insecure masculinity or whatever you want to call it, but it's like in the same kind of way that when I watch Hunger Games, I'm like, I enjoy it, but I acknowledge that's not really for me. That's a movie. That's a movie for the girls. And
it's an
when
interesting
I look
point
at
to bring
Ray,
up.
I feel the same thing, and I think I'm not alone in that. So I wouldn't necessarily count that there is going to be billions of dollars, because I just don't think that these male fans who have built the Star Wars brand are going to continue to see it if they keep going in the girl power direction.
It's an interesting point you bring up, but I think the gender politics behind it, and I'll let you talk in a minute, Trill, because I know you want to say something, but the gender politics that you bring up in the Star Wars franchise, I'm not sure that the and I'll have to call it the minority of people who have an issue with the gender politics of Star Wars is strong enough to secure the film will not make $1 billion, because most people, let's say 80% of the people going to see the Star Wars movie don't pay attention to things like behind the scenes or pay attention or really look at things like, is this becoming something for girls because a girl is in the lead? I don't think there are that many young...
do, and we're the core audience that normally sees it.
Well, the core audience is keep in mind that on the internet we are people in a box. We are people in a bubble, and I get that there are fans out there, but
we're the ones who see the movie 7 times when it comes out. And
yes, but also keep in mind that most movies make about 70% of their box office in the first 2 to 3 weeks. And I think that the average every-going person is not going to go to this film and say, it has a girl in it, I'm not going to go see it. Otherwise, why would Frozen have made $1.4 billion? Trilby, what were you thinking? What were you going to say?
I see from the point what Bandit's referring to, but we're just coming off of Rogue One, which was all about like Jyn Erso and Felicity Jones and the female lead for that one. That was, in a way, a girl power film. But we all agreed on the podcast that we all really, really liked Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just because you do have the female girl power, feminist lead and everything doesn't really necessarily alienate the males in the audience. I think women can resonate more with the material, and if so, that's absolutely fine. But even with The Last Jedi, even if Rey is the lead and she is the cipher for the story and everything, we've still got Poe Dameron, we've still got Finn, we've still got Luke, we've still got all of these other... it's a diverse ensemble cast. Yeah. If it was just Rey as the singular lead, where, like, say for the Hunger Games, where it is an ensemble cast, but it is unquestionably Katniss Jellybean's story, or whatever a weird future trope name was.
Trilby, I don't think we're no longer in the world of... We're not in the world of where boys like Star Wars and girls like... We're not in that era of people anymore. Like, people... I know little boys who were so psyched and still to this day love Moana. I've got friends with little boy siblings, and they have all the toys, and they've got Moana toys, and they're not... We are moving out of that stage, especially in things like Lego. You have all the Lego female figures. I think we're stepping out of the zone of, look, this is something for little boys. Otherwise, I like something like Transformers would have done far better, despite the fact that it was awful. I don't think we are, because Star Wars, the whole thing of Star Wars is it plays to your inner child. Yeah, but girls can like Star Wars too, and plenty of girls do like Star Wars. Yeah, but there's not enough of them to... Because what makes the movie cross the $1 billion mark is the hardcore fan who sees it multiple times.
Actually,
I agree with you, Trilby. I agree with you that, like, that kind of male fan didn't have a problem with Wonder Woman, but that kind of male fan did have a problem with Rey. No doubt. So, like, they were handled very differently. Where are you getting the basis at that? You're bringing up some points here of you cannot get around the problem that you're building this franchise around a character which a considerable chunk of the core audience does not like. That's a problem.
I gotta see some numbers behind this mindset, Bandit. I feel like you might be projecting your feelings onto the fan base of Star Wars, because I feel like if people didn't like Star Wars, if people didn't like Rey in the Star Wars film, Rey would not be, you know what I mean? She would not be where she is right now. People responded very well to Daisy Ridley's performance. People responded very well to the character of Rey. People had issues with the fact that she did seem too powerful, and that was a thing. But it seems far more like they are now in the minority, and I think people are far more excited to see what Rey and Luke are going to go through, as opposed to being like, "Oh, I don't want to see Rey because she's a Mary Sue." I don't think that group is as large as you may think it is.
You're right; they are in the minority, but the people who are in the majority now are the people who just see it once and don't bother to see it again.
But those are the most people going to the movie. That's your everyday audience, and that's who. If you want to know what movies like when fans are the only ones to go see a movie, that's what Scott Pilgrim makes. The movies that people, the reason Avengers make so much money is because some random Joe Schmo goes out and sees it in Missouri or out of nowhere, and he says, "That was good. You guys should go see that." And then other people go see it. It's not the comic book fan that sees it, because comics or Star Wars, we got to understand that most people on the planet that are going to see this movie are not the diehard Star Wars fans. Yeah. Like, they're not. I think that's what you're trying to get at, Chilby. I'm going to,
Sure, I understand that, but like, just the numbers don't add up. Like, I saw The Dark Knight 4 times, right?
Yeah.
Which means if The Dark Knight had driven me away, like, I was the equivalent. I multiplied their profits by 4. I was the equivalent of 4 people going to see them. If Dark Knight had driven me away with some dumb decision, they would have had to bring in 4 new, entirely different people instead of just me. If Star Wars is driving away those fans who see it multiple times, they have to increase the average Joe audience by like 10 times as much.
In a way, I kind of disagree with the... I get the sentiment on its face, but I know it's like a different corner of geek in a way, but I know that the reaction to the 13th Doctor in Doctor Who being Jodie Whittaker, being the first female Doctor, and people saying, "I'm never going to watch this series again, I'm never going to..." But that particular backlash to it on its absolute face, they'll be back. Because that's how a persecution complex works. They've got to they've got to watch it. They've got to watch it so they can complain and bitch about it online. I'm not saying that's what you're going to do, Bandit, but I'm saying that's
exactly what he's going to do.
You're right. You're saying you're right. You're saying they are still going to see it, and you're right. They are still going to see it once.
Now they'll see it 3 times so they can get the details, and they'll buy the Blu-ray so they can get the special features.
Hunger Games 3 times.
The fans you were bringing out, the fans that are going to buy the collection steelbook when the whole trilogy comes out, because they say the same people that are going to go buy they wouldn't bought the special editions on 4K, even though they don't like the special editions. I mean, that is a small group of people that are compared to people that actually go out and see it.
Small group of people is what the entire franchise is built on, and you take that out, it will collapse.
The small group of people
are enough to hold up a franchise this big.
It's different. Then.
The gender stuff. The gender stuff is different from the diversity in film question, because the diversity in film question makes a lot of financial sense. Like, if you cast a famous Chinese actor in a movie, a lot more people in China are going to come and see that movie. Like, that's why Fast and the Furious does so well, because they've got like a person from every ethnic group, so it works. It financially makes sense
in that movie.
But gender, I believe
it's still 1.2 billion.
But gender is like pretty much a binary choice, And if you've got a whole franchise that is built mostly around the nerdy guys, and you kick them out the door, that's really a risky move to make. I just don't.
Well, you're making a very large claim when you say that you're not only as. I mean, you can argue the franchise is built around nerdy boys. You can argue that, but you argue that they are being pushed. But you argue that they are being pushed out is a very big claim to make, because I feel like if fans were being pushed out, and if they did have an issue with. If they did have an issue, then I think The Last Jedi would not be getting the anticipation that it's getting. Because there are a lot of people that are very much looking forward to this film.
Is there that much anticipation?
Hold on, Bandit. Chilby wants to speak.
Well, we do say and kind of joke around that the nerd blogosphere who talk about movies and absorb all the info are like the 1% of film goers. And while that gap is getting smaller and smaller, as in that the geek culture is sort of becoming normal culture, is becoming mainstream. So that is correct. But the number one film of 2017 is Beauty and the Beast. And it's a film that is something that has left very little cultural impact, but a lot of people went to see it once or maybe went to see it twice. Yeah. And it is just the average Joe watching the film. Like Despicable Me 3 has made $1 billion, whereas Baby Driver was made like 100 million worldwide. And that's not to say Despicable Me is better or worse, or Baby Driver, although Despicable Me is worse than Baby Driver. That's science. But the geek culture, or the people who feel like they might be driven away from Star Wars, they do make up a big chunk of the audience, but the films make $1 billion by getting that one person who maybe watches one film a year to watch their film. And if that film is Star Wars, or if it's Guardians of the Galaxy, or if it's Fast and the Furious, whatever that film is, there is a bigger, like, especially with ticket price inflation and movies costing the amount they do and everything, there's going to be a small handful of people who only watch maybe 3 or 4 films a year. And but Star Wars being the biggest thing on the planet means it's likely going to be, The Last Jedi is probably going to be one of those films.
I disagree with you because it's a fundamental law of business. It is 10 times more difficult to attract a new customer than to keep an existing customer. That's how all businesses make the majority of their money, is a small number of routine customers that
but everybody knows what Star Wars
come
is.
Back. It's always going to be difficult to get new people to show up. So yeah,
but everybody knows what Star Wars is.
There's going to be loads of people, but that's not the core customer base. And movie business.
No, but Bandit, now listen. Yeah,
just
now
like
listen. You
business,
say
that is going to be the core of their money.
Well,
one hardcore fan is worth 10 average Joes.
But think of the original Star Wars.
So long, it's amazing.
But think of the original Star Wars trilogy, though. You've got the Trinity. You've got Luke, Leia, and Han. Okay? There's only one woman in that trio. In the new trio, you've got Rey, Finn, and Poe. The actual gender dynamic has not changed, except that the lead is now Rey. Yeah. The actual optics haven't really changed. So I don't really see
and that Finn is
why
now the damsel in distress.
Yeah, but Finn's a beautiful
Han
man.
was the damsel in distress in Return of the Jedi. I don't understand your point.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah, he was believed frozen in carbonite, man.
That's true. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so the actual dynamic has not changed. Just that it's been like there's no harm in having this new person be the lead, and she just happens to be a woman. And yeah, she's maybe a bit too perfect, and she's a Mary Sue. That discussion I think has kind of been beaten like a dead horse.
Yeah,
but who knows what where the characterization goes?
But we kind of have the wrong view of history when we look back at how big Star Wars has become. When we say, oh, it's because of the average Joes. When Empire Strikes Back came out, it was the most unpopular of the Star Wars movies. It was actually less popular than the first one. It was only because of the hardcore fans propping that up that Star Wars even survived as a franchise, and the average Joes came later.
I'm going to disagree with you on that because I have teachers who talk to me about Star Wars and how they went to go see it back in the 70s and 80s, and that's just because it was the thing to do. And that's just because it was the thing to do back then. We're not.
And how many times did they see it?
I don't know.
Probably
once,
one
but
time.
Everyone goes to movies
and
once.
many
No
times
one's
if they were not.
The 1% of the moviegoers that are on the internet, in the internet bubble, and that the ones who blog and Facebook post and tweet about Star Wars and whatnot are the ones who are seeing this movie 5-6 times, sure. But the most people, let's say 90% of people going to see this movie are going to see it once. And to say that Star Wars, which is something being released not only in 3D but in IMAX and D-Box and all that premium format stuff, is not to make $1 billion when it's shown by looking just at previous films this year and previous Star Wars films that there's no way this film's not going to make $1 billion. Now, Bandit, if the film doesn't make $1 billion or back in February, I'll be the first one to say, well, shoot, I was wrong. But I can guarantee, I'll bet money on it that it's going to make $1 billion.
I'll tell you what then, Trey. If Trey and Trilby, both of you, if you really believe that, then here's what you should do. Uh-oh. You guys both have YouTube channels, and the majority of your views come from a small minority of subscribers who watch every video that you do. If you really believe that you can not cater to those people at all, and just depend on the people who randomly come across your videos, just the casual viewer, then drastically change your content to something completely different, and then see how your channels go. See how your channels go, and then come back and tell me.
Star Wars is still Star Wars. It just has a woman in it.
It's the same principle, though. It's the same principle. You got to look after your core fans.
This is what I think.
No, but it's also, like, let's say that you get 100 people who are going to go see Star Wars The Last Jedi. We put 100 people in a line. 10 of them, no matter what happens, are going to see the film 2 or 3 times. That is still a substantial number, and they're still going to see it multiple times, and that generates additional revenue. They'll buy the merchandise and all that stuff. But everyone else in that lineup is going to go see it once and be like, that was good, may pick it up on DVD. That's still where the majority of the money is going to come on, at least in terms of raw box office. When it comes to stuff like the merchandising and the ancillary rights, and they're going to buy the Chewbacca masks, that's all, that is additional stuff, but I think that's also a different conversation in a way, because we're talking about the film making $1 billion at the box office no matter what they do, unless there's like a deliberate act of sabotage at Lucasfilm, which after Phil Lord, Chris Miller, Trevorrow, there may very well be.
Now, here's what I will say. I established at the very beginning of the conversation that I said the film is genuinely terrible, as in, like, nobody likes it. It's got, like, 20% Rotten Tomatoes. It might do BVS numbers and get, like, 850, and that's it. And that might be the case, but I guarantee the film, I'm thinking somewhere between an 81% and 95% Rotten Tomatoes score. Most likely, it's gonna get the technical Oscar awards, and people are going to appreciate this movie, and enough people are, and the people that are going to appreciate this, by the way, Bandit, little girls, and not just little girls, but everybody. In the movie, there's no way this movie doesn't make $1 billion.
And if you cater to young,
you can say that I mean that. I hesitate to compare, like, the Star Wars franchise to other movie franchises, though. Sure, there are other movie franchises,
you compared it to our
like
YouTube
Beauty and the Beast
channel.
or whatever. Well, I mean, it's a fair comparison. All of our YouTube channels are based around and built off a nerdy kind of movie-going audience, as Star Wars itself is.
Fast and Furious.
Right, but I kind of feel like Star Wars audience is a different kind of animal to other movies. So saying that, hey, Beauty and the Beast can pull in just average Joes and makes a lot of money, I don't know if that's transferable to Star Wars. I guess there's no way we really can know.
And the reason Force Awakens made $2.7 or whatever billion is not because fans went and saw it 2 or 3 times. It's because everybody went and saw it at least once. And it's because everybody and their mother went and saw the movie because they're like, oh, it's a Star Wars movie. Let's go watch a Star Wars movie. And it was out for a long time. And that's how you don't just, you know what? I'm calling it order in the court on December 22nd. Let me keep moving here. This is the Star Wars talk.
Yeah, well, I look forward to seeing when both of you guys start doing like makeup tutorials on your channel and just seeing how your channel just just takes off.
It might actually
that's
blow
gonna be
up,
great.
by the way. If I do a makeup tutorial, it will definitely blow up because people love the whole trans movement and all that. That stuff's popular right now. On December 20th, Jesus Christ, you good, Trilby?
Yeah, I'm just for the sake of argument, I'm just trying to find the box office numbers for Force Awakens because they do typically tend to say what the percentage of male to female audience members were. I just want to
get a higher number of males.
I just want to find out for myself, just for fun. Okay. Just want to know.
On December 20th,
it'll probably be 50-50, but that again wouldn't cover people who come back for a second and a third and a fourth viewing, right?
It probably will because it's a ticket sale. On December 20th, relevant
part of the discussion, though, right?
Okay, here we go. Okay, 1 second. Force Awakens audience.
I tried.
Force Awakens audience mostly male.
Yeah, shocker.
Yeah.
So,
does it give a percentage? Or?
1 second, sorry. Okay, so the firm's data also found that those who bought advance tickets regularly go to the movies once a month as a group, buying on average 2.3 tickets per transaction, blah, blah, blah. 1 second, I've just got to scroll down and read it all. It was primarily men between the ages of 18 and 49 with an average age of 34. It doesn't actually...
That's me.
It doesn't actually... Bandit,
That's
you are
me.
the average moviegoer. How does it feel?
that kind of adds more credibility to my point of view.
It really doesn't. It adds nothing to your point of view.
You said that's the majority males around about my age.
That's the average
of the audience. So
that's
I feel
the
like
average. It's not the majority. All right,
you're still going to see the last
Trilby. Trilby, I'm calling it on December 20th. We get Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. Let's just all hand this movie together.
Okay, so Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle will make more money than the Last Jedi because it has.
Yes, it has in it. If we're using the math that Bandit likes to use,
I know that's not your argument, Bandit. I just want to be.
Yeah. It's all right.
You know who's going to be angry? Me editing this in about 3 hours. Oh man, I'm going to get so mad. No.
Well, my recording stopped before I had to restart it because we went over 3 hours. So.
Oh yeah.
So I'll stick them together when I send the audio to you. So
yeah, we're at 3:14. But Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle opens up at on the 20th. What do you guys think about this film?
I forgot it was happening.
It looks fine.
It had that first trailer. It was all right. But the first trailer was okay, but I just forgot that this thing was happening.
Now, Bandit, I'm going to warn you. The film does have a female character in it, so I'm not sure how
it's going to alienate the boys who grew up watching it.
The entire
that female
audience.
Character gets put into Jack Black's body.
I'm talking about
funny,
Karen
right?
Gillan.
It's funny.
I'm talking about Karen Gillan.
The idea of
Jack
a woman
Black.
being in a man's body is completely hilarious, right?
See this, Bandit? This here is my 10-foot barge pole, and I'm not touching this conversation with
The
it.
idea of people thinking that they're a gender trapped inside another gender's body, that's so funny. Right, Jumanji? Let's all laugh at that.
Okay. All right.
What?
You know what, Julie? I'll
Bandit,
call you.
are you being an advocate for social justice?
Excuse me. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
All right, guys, this is the listener questions portion of the show in case we answer listener questions on the Facebook page. Trilby, why don't you go on ahead?
Okay, so, first question comes from Mersault Films, who says, favourite cult film? My favourite cult film is the cult of the donkey, where they worship the donkey by killing a donkey. That's my favourite cult. Favourite cult film, where we just make short films together where we kill donkeys. That's my favourite cult. I think I've misinterpreted this question.
What is this podcast? Okay, all right. Favorite cult film?
Yeah, favorite cult film.
The World End. I don't know. What do you per se define as a cult film, though?
Something that really just has a very, very niche but very dedicated audience. Not like Star Wars, but let's say let's say like The Room, where they actually hold screenings of The Room and they throw spoons at the screen.
Like Rocky Horror, you know?
Yeah. Rocky Horror is a good one. So it's something kind of like that where you do kind of get fan screenings or like a big event where they don't even show up to watch the film for the first time. They show up to quote the film as it's happening with the people.
I guess
my
films that I love... Oh, yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
My favourite cult film is Army of Darkness, which is the sequel to Night of the Living Dead, where Ash goes back in time to medieval time. And he fights an army of darkness in medieval times, and then he teleports back forward to present day again at the end. That's my favorite cult film.
We all know he meant Evil Dead, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we've seen it. I'm going to correct you before the comments correct you, Bandit. You said Night of the Living Dead. It's Evil Dead. We all knew what he meant.
Night of the Evil Army of Dead.
There's going to be some guy that's like, you meant to say Evil Dead. Like, we know. I had to stop you before the audience caught us. Okay. No, Army of Darkness is good. No, you're fine. I don't know. Does the thing count as a cult film? It didn't make a lot of money at the time, and it wasn't very well received at the time either. It's kind of.
Yeah, I suppose it's a cult film in the sense that regular people don't really know about it, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think I guess in the sense of like, I don't know what people define as a cult film, because in my opinion, a cult film is just a film that didn't do well and got a second life in the sense of people that did eventually discover it.
A bit like Blade Runner or Austin Powers.
Fight Club is a common example. People hated that when I first came out, and then suddenly the world's in love with it. It's fine. I don't know. I mean, in my opinion, Steve Jobs is a cult film because no one saw that, but it's a fantastic movie that people need to see.
It really is. It's really a good job.
I think you can kind of put cult film and underrated film almost in the same market. Then again, that depends what you define as underrated, because you can define underrated as a movie that just doesn't get the love it deserves, despite, like, it could be a hated movie that doesn't get to get hate. Prometheus. But I don't know. I guess that was my favorite cult film if I'm using that logic. But then again, The Thing's pretty great. I've recently watched it for the first time like 2 months ago. It was masterful. All right. Let me stop. I have another question.
I think like Scott Pilgrim could be considered a cult film in a way.
I'm not the world's biggest supporter of Scott Pilgrim, but I do agree that it's a well-made film. Yeah.
I didn't think it was a good film at all.
Well,
yeah, that's fine.
I didn't realise it was Scott Pilgrim where I would disagree with both Trey and Bandit.
Yeah, it finally happened.
Maybe we can have a video game fight about it.
Maybe.
Because Michael Cera is totally the guy.
Only if Chili walks out to the Universal theme music. Like, if Chili can walk out and you just hear and you can crack your knuckles to it.
I kind of feel like Thor at the beginning of the latest Thor Ragnarok trailer. It's like I had a disagreement with Bandit and Trey, so that's still pretty fresh.
Yeah. Did I win? Yeah, it doesn't sound
right. That doesn't sound right.
Okay, speaking of... Okay, so the next one. Justin Huang, sorry for pronouncing that name wrong, he said, if you had to choose one member of the podcast to protect you while the other would hunt you down, who would it be? Which is a wonderful question. I know what I would choose, but what would you...
Trey, can I guess that like you probably have Bandit protect you, because I don't think I'd be able to protect anyone from Bandit.
Exactly.
His avatar has guns on it.
Yeah, I mean, as cool as you are, Chili, I love you, buddy, but no way. No way could you stop this like burly Australian guy from kicking my door down and slitting my throat while I sleep.
This is correct.
I'll ride my kangaroo in there. Yeah.
On the other hand, I'm interested to know what Bandit would choose.
I'm trying to protect Trey, and then a kangaroo comes along, and then Bandit comes out of the kangaroo's pouch and punches me.
He just steps off and you just hear, and he pulls out like a boomerang, like Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
I'd pick Trey to protect me from Trilby, because I'm pretty sure that I could lay a trap for Trilby where I like set up a TV and start playing Hot Fuzz, and he won't be able to resist, and he'll go over there, and then I can sneak up behind and like whack him on the head.
Replace Hot Fuzz with Shaun of the Dead, and that is a foolproof plan.
I don't know, Chilby. I feel like Hot Fuzz is on TV. You hear Farmer's Mums, you just kind of have to stop watch.
Oh, that's right.
I've got a mustache.
Yeah, that's not a bad get. I don't know, but I feel like I could take you out, Bandit. Like if I was hunting you, and Chili was protecting you, I feel like I'd get you. I don't know. What about you, Chili? What would you do?
If I'm gonna have Trey protect me from Bandit, it's only because I would use Trey as a human shield. Then the moment he's dead, I run.
Wow,
well, I guess,
no faith in me.
How about this? How about what if it would depend? Would we be in Texas or would we be in the Australian countryside?
Well, see, I think with Bandit, you're like the guy. You're like the thing from It Follows. Like you would just walk across like oceans to get your target.
See, in my brain, we're both like Sunday movies rule, where like it turns towards like a football field. It's just like Bandits after me, Chubby protect me, and like you'll just kind of like barrel through and like, all right, Liam Sophie.
That was a good question. That was a good question.
It's a greit's a question I think about that. I'm like, can I fight Bandit? I'd probably win because I'm scrappy. I'm like Indiana Jones. I
would have Bandit protect me if Trey tried to kill me.
You would get Bandit to protect you? Yeah, that's wise.
Well,
because that's a fight. That's a fight you'd want to see. Yeah.
Trey, how tall are you?
Huh? Does that matter? Bruce Lee was like what 5'4"? That doesn't matter. But
well, I know from your picture that you're a stocky dude. If you're big as well as stocky. I'm tall but stringy, but I have been going to the gym recently. So I'm trying to bulk up in case I get on Survivor.
6'2"? I think I'm 6'2". Yeah.
Oh wow!
You might actually be taller than me, Trey. Because I'm like 6'1", I think.
Are you really? Wow! I didn't think you looked short in your pictures. There it is.
Well, so all of us are over 6 feet tall. That's awesome, man.
What's that?
So all of us are over 6 feet tall. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Oh, no.
All of us are over 6 feet tall and a little bit chunky. There we go.
And others.
We are the three chunky amigos.
I was going to say, if we start a band with the three tall junkies.
3 tall junkies. Okay. Liam Stobie asked, I lost it. I'm trying to pull up where is it? I found it. Okay. He said, as someone who's currently taking media, blah, 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 how much do you feel media is to blame for violent behavior? I really like this question. That's why I chose it. How much do you feel media is to blame for violent behavior? I'm going to say it's not, solely because people have been fighting each other and have been violent long before media of any kind really existed. Yeah. You know what I mean? Humans are naturally violent things. And whether that be for food, for land, humans have always been known to be violent people.
Yeah, like we can even be violent in hypothetical questions that the Facebook group comes up as to who would kill or protect the other.
Precisely.
That's true, but I mean, and like you got to say, like from the basic sort of like human perspective, every individual human has authority over their own actions and should take ownership of their own actions, and no one can force
for the most part, yes.
For the most part, yeah, and like no one can force you to attack anyone else. But that being said, like governments use propaganda for a reason. It works.
Absolutely.
Like in North Korea, they have like storybooks that they read to their kids about how evil America is, and that's going to make them want to like probably attack an
Nazis
American.
with the Jews in the 40s. I mean, there are influences, of course, but to say that this is always my response whenever someone's like, "Why would you play GTA 5? It makes you so violent." And if anything, whenever I log into Grand Theft Auto 5 and I take a plane from the airport after killing 30 cops and crash into the strip club and then jump out and shoot hookers with a rocket launcher, I don't do it because I want to do that in real life. I do it because I just need I'm bored, or B, I need to let off some steam, and so I do it by attacking these pixelated things that don't actually exist. I don't go out and hit somebody when I'm angry. I go and I play a video game. And it's more, I think in more ways than not, there are times where it makes people aggressive, but I don't really know, unless you're a 12-year-old guy and a 12-year-old kid that's like, who talks like they're in a GTA or a Call of Duty chat as they do in real life. I don't really think it affects as much as people may think it does.
Yeah, well, I mean, basically the crux of that question is like, is the media responsible for human violence? It's basically asking, is the media responsible for good or for evil? And the answer is it's both. It depends on what it's being used for. It's like science. Is science a force for good or is it a force for evil? Well, it can build medical technology or it can build nuclear weapons. You know, it's like there's that Black Mirror episode.
Math
where the soldiers, the enemies, they see them as like literal like monsters.
Ooh,
and
yes.
they've been told this whole thing that the enemies are like mutated monsters that can't talk and all that.
Wait, hold on. Stop talking, Bandit. Spoilers. Well, hold on. Wait a minute. Is there?
I have to for the analogy to work. It's been on Netflix.
Shelby, are you caught up on Black Mirror?
No, but I know the episode. I know how it ends.
But it's like a digital mask making the enemies look that way. So in that way, like, a media portrayal of a certain group can kind of do the same thing. But the media portrayal, if it's honest, can also do the equivalent of removing that. You know, so it really depends. Like if the media is working to humanize both sides of a debate, then it's a force for good. But if the media is like vilifying one side, then they're definitely partially responsible for any violence that comes from that illusion that they're pushing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's kind of sentiment.
Yeah, because people, in order to try and have this argument of, no, video games do not cause violence, they will proceed to say that video games have zero effect on anybody in any capacity, which is not true of any media. Like, there's a reason, like you were saying about it, the propaganda and commercials and everything, companies spend billions of dollars in order to influence us through media, even if it's just buying a product or having a political opinion and all these things. It's what media is meant to do. But it's also like, for example, GTA 5 or Manhunt or a particularly violent video game is not going to make somebody all of a sudden click a switch in their brain and they're going to start committing violence, but it may set something off in someone who was already in that state of mind to commit violence anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's like a violent movie, like that guy that shot at the movie theater, and not to make light of that situation, but he claimed that the Joker was the reason he did it.
Yeah.
That shot at that theater.
He was already probably going to do something like that.
It's not, and that doesn't mean it's Christopher Nolan's fault that people died and babies were shot. It's not his fault. It's someone. You're right, Chobi. There's always usually something there before something happens.
Yeah, there's a deeper underlying issue that a media portrayal may have already exacerbated. Yeah. But I think it was over a year ago, just before the Brexit referendum, where one of our politicians was shot in the street, and this person may have been influenced by media or propaganda or negative portrayals of maybe immigration or Muslims and stuff like that. But I think that while seeing negative portrayals and seeing news headlines saying breaking point and all these hyperbolic things in newspapers and media may have pushed him over the edge, there was something still fundamentally wrong with that guy in the first place. That made him commit that murder, that made him commit that act. And I think while media does have a role to play, there are other systemic issues that we can't just say let's ban this movie or ban this portrayal, because that gets rid of a symptom and not the actual cause.
When you cut off a man's tongue, it makes his words all the more powerful.
Even if that man's words are just
shooting hookers.
Because you do automatically create an underdog narrative, which people like to latch onto.
But also, I'd say, sorry, go on.
No, that was kind of the end of that point. But it is you can get incredibly pro-war propaganda in a way. For example, Independence Day Resurgence, that film actually got a lot of its marketing and a lot of its funding through the United States military. And that film, there was a Resurgence website where if you went on it, you could play games and you get a high score and these alien training simulators and stuff. But the actual site was funded by the US military. It was a propaganda tool, and it is that sort of maybe slightly insidious nature where it's put in our entertainment, it's put in our escapist fiction, but the politicizing or the propaganda is still there in a subliminal way. It kind of behooves the audience to maybe take a more critical eye at the entertainment that they consume, even if that means entertainment that they like, but still maybe appreciating it for what it is anyway. It's more about informing the consumer base and making them maybe more proactive against these things.
Yeah, but I mean, with the question though of in regards to the media, it's I think the moral of the story is you can't really trust any media, whether it's the mainstream media saying everyone who voted Brexit is racist, or whether it's the alternative media saying that, they want to flood us with Muslims or whatever was said in Britain. I don't know. But, nobody should really trust either. You need to research both sides yourself and actually go out and talk to people on the other side and understand why they view what they view. And sometimes you are going to talk to the other side and say, no, you know what? They are actual evil. They do want to cut our heads off. That's going to happen. But the point is, don't let yourself be manipulated by just believing anything the media says. So if people are committed to not being manipulated, then they won't be driven to violence by the media or anyone else.
Yeah, and it's also just because it's worth letting people know, or just because someone may have a smaller megaphone than the mainstream media, if it is for example on YouTube, who is portraying an underdog, I'm the only person speaking the truth narrative, that doesn't automatically make them right. In a way, it is skepticism on both sides, if it's left, right, or whatever political side you're on.
It's also true, though, that you should be more skeptical of the one with the bigger megaphone, because the one with the biggest megaphone is the one most likely to represent the established viewpoint, which is the one that usually needs to be questioned. The one that's the minority viewpoint gets questioned all the time, but it's the reverse.
Yeah, absolutely. But you get people who go to the person with the hypothetical, the metaphorical smaller megaphone and immediately take their words as gospel. It's being critical about both sides.
Exactly. Right.
Show me what you got. Essentially. Okay.
Interesting discussion.
Yeah, no. Do we have time for one more?
Kind of weird we got that question in a movie Mania.
Yeah, no, no, no. I do we have time for one more?
Kind of weird we got that question in a movie Mania.
Kind of weird we got that question in a movie Mania. Yeah, no, no, no. I do we have time for one more?
Kind of weird we got that question in a movie Mania.
I think people know that. I let the audience know that you were coming back on the show. I think people were just like,
"Oh,
right." Questions, yeah.
Let's poke the bear.
Next question is like, "What do you think of Sharia law?" It's like, oh.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, so I have
spare a couple of days. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Jesus Christ. I have one more question for him. And speaking another non-based movie question, because why not? From Scott Brown, who says, any life advice from three legends like yourselves? Thank you, Scott. Any life advice from Mr. Scott Brown? I think I said his name.
I do. I heard this advice from someone else, and it is if you want to avoid poverty, there's only three things you need to do in your life. They say one...
Beans on toast.
No. One is finish school. Just finish high school. You don't have to be the best student. You just have to finish. Two is get a job after getting high school. It doesn't matter what the job is. It could be a crap job. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. Just get one and keep it for at least 1 year. Third thing you have to do is don't get pregnant unless you're married. And they say, anyone in any Western country, if you do those three things, you will not be permanently poor, no matter what. And it's true, when you look at people who are in real difficult financial situations, it's one of those three things. They either haven't finished high school, or they didn't keep a job for a year after school, which makes it hard with resumes to actually have something, to sort of build on and get new work, or they get pregnant before they're married and they're saddled with a kid. And it's always one of those things if someone's life is messed up. So that'd be my life advice for people.
Just don't be an asshole. Just be a cool dude. You know what I mean? Two things. Just be a cool dude and develop a sense of humor. I cannot imagine life would be so much easier for a lot of people if they understood the concept of A, jokes, and B, knowing how to laugh at things. And I mean, that's the easiest way to get through life, is just to be like, let's just have a laugh about it. You know what I mean? Looking at it on a small scale, if you're terrified of horror movies, good. Watch the horror movie, be scared, and then laugh about it afterwards. Don't be afraid to develop a sense of humor, and just be a cool dude. There's no reason to belittle people for whether they think differently or they are different in a physical way. Just be a chill dude and just have a nice life about it. It took me way too long to figure that out. It took me I don't know, 16 years. Just get over yourself and just be a chill dude. All right,
basically, be Frodo. Be Frodo, just chill out in the Shire.
Get out of the Shire.
Be
nothing
Sam.
will change.
Be Sam. Sam's the true hero of that trilogy.
Be Sam.
Be Merry and Pippin. Have that second breakfast and the 11s an afternoon tea.
I would totally love to be one of those too. Yeah.
Shelby, you know what? If this was Film Brits, that's the title of the episode.
Have that second breakfast.
Have that second breakfast. For a while, it would have been the gay edit, but now it's going to be have that second breakfast.
No, my life advice is just get out and talk to as many people as possible, and just get to genuinely get to know them.
87 years on the planet, don't waste them. Sorry.
Yeah, well, it's you'll be amazed just how many of your own preconceived worldviews and acknowledgements can be questioned just by talking to somebody different than you, and how many things you can just have almost immediately debunked, or years of stuff that you thought were true. Just you speak to somebody and they're like, no, it's not true at all.
No, man, Santa Claus isn't real. I told you. My mom told me herself.
Whoa. What?
Sorry. Any parents listening to this with kids in the car? So
but I think that the world would just be a significantly better place if we all just were a bit nicer to one another in a way, or at least there's a play called An Inspector Calls. I don't know if you've heard of it. It was published just before it was either just before the First World War or just before the Second World War. And the plot is that there's this aristocratic family, and an inspector comes and says that this person has died, and I'm going to question all of you. And it turns out that all of these people in this family had a connection to this person's death. And at the end, he gives a speech saying that the person who died is called Eva Smith, and he says something along the lines of one Eva Smith is dead, but there are still millions and millions of Eva Smiths who are still left with us, with their lives, their hopes and fears, their suffering, all intertwined with our lives and what we think and say and do. I'm trying to remember the quote. We don't live alone. We are members of one body. We are responsible for each other. And I tell you that the time will come when if men will not learn that lesson, then they will be taught it in fire and blood and anguish.
One of us. Google, gobble, one of us.
And then in a few years' time, it was the First World War, and that was kind of apt. But we're all on the same... But we're all on the same rock, and if you remove all the water, we're still on the same bloody bit. So that's kind of my advice.
We sound like a bunch of hippies. Well, Bandit sounds like a dad, but we chose like a bunch of hippies. Just be chill on the same rock, man.
I do have a second bit of advice. Can I share the second bit of advice?
If it's not hateful, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's not hateful. None of my advice is hateful until the next war starts, which will happen soon. But anyway, no, I'm joking. No, this bit is... I'm reading a book called Mastery by Robert Greene, where he sort of breaks down the life pattern of like people who've done amazing things like Leonardo da Vinci or whatever, and he sort of breaks it down to a formula that works for everyone. You might have heard they say it takes like 10,000 hours of practice to become really good at something. Like Shaquille O'Neal or whatever took 10,000 hours of shooting hoops before he was whatever... And when I heard all this, I was like, wow, I wish someone had told me this when I was a kid, which is 10,000 hours of practicing something means 3 hours a day for 10 years. And they say people do their most creative work from the age of 25 to the age of 40. So they say people like Leonardo da Vinci, they start at the age of like 15, practice 3 hours a day, so that by the time they get to 25, their skills are maxed out and they're ready to do their best work in their peak. Or same with a lot of athletes, like that's their physical peak, starts in like mid-20s from then on. So it's like, if you're a young person and you're lucky enough to know what it is that you're good at, whether you're like, I'm a musician or I'm a boxer or whatever it is that you're good at, if you start at 15 and you train like crazy, by the time you get to 25, your skills will be maxed out and you'll be able to do amazing stuff. And if you don't know what your thing is, and you don't know what you want to do, just look at your parents or your grandparents. Whatever they're good at is probably what you're good at. See, my mum was a writer and my dad was a politician, so that's why I am the way I am. So yeah, look at your parents, find out what you're good at from that, and then if you can start at 15 and practice, you'll be able to do amazing things. They say a lot of the reason why people like Da Vinci and all that were so great when they were young is because they started earlier. So, but I just wanted to share that because I was like, wish someone had told me that when I was younger. That would have been amazing.
Well,
but now I'm 35. I've only got 10 more years left in me. Oh.
My hands are far too shaky to do what my dad does, and I'm not simple-minded enough to do what my mom does. It's not a ploy on secretaries. I don't have the mind to be a secretary, but I can't be a barber because my hands shake too much. So I guess filmmakers what I have.
You want to be a director,
of course. Yes.
So do you practice 3 hours a day, Trey?
More, I'd argue.
And how old
on average,
watching The Dark Knight does not count.
Fine, but I guess I practice 2.5 hours a day.
How old are you, Trey?
I'm 17. I'll be 18 in 9 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just stick to it. Just stay focused on it, and you'll be doing amazing things when you're 25.
Yeah. Just keep failing those pre-cal tests. I'll be just fine. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then we'll be like, yeah, we knew Trey one day. You know that famous director who's made the best Batman movie
I can just picture you like 65 years old, like in the nursing home, like, yeah, I knew Trey. Yeah, I knew him. I knew that guy. Like for some reason we're not, we're not movie mania never becomes anything, and just like this thing that fades to obscurity, because that's not going to happen. God, I hope not. I put too much work in this thing. It can't just fade to obscurity now. Anyways,
speaking of which,
sorry, existential moment over.
Apparently, SoundCloud is not doing too well. So if we do want to start up again on like a hosting thing for the podcast, we might need to move it from SoundCloud because apparently they're dying.
Yeah, well, we've okay, Bandit. So the most common comment and tweet we've ever gotten.
Yeah.
The first one is, "Where's Bandit and where's he coming back on the show?" The second one, guaranteed, is always followed by "Where's the beat?"
My planet needs me.
No, it's always, will the podcast be back on iTunes and or SoundCloud? Because I don't have the time, God forbid, to listen on YouTube. I'm like, well, first of all, don't say it like that. 'Cause it sounds like a burden to listen to our free show. But okay. I think Chili was there for my rant when I ranted about the whole YouTube or iTunes thing. I ranted back in June, was it? Like 3 months ago. Chili was there for that, and I don't know. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Well, I mean,
I'm tired.
SoundCloud is $14 a month, but that's Australian dollars. I think it's like $9 American or something. So, but there's probably cheaper hosting somewhere else.
Starving artist.
But SoundCloud sucks. You remember a lot of the time we'd upload it and it wouldn't bloody work. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah, I'd have to restart my computer and like, oh, now it wants to work. Yeah, no, bump that.
So it happened to you too, because remember a lot of the time I tried to upload it and it wouldn't work, so I'd send it to you. But now it's happening to you too.
Well, I haven't uploaded something to SoundCloud since February, but yeah. But yeah, I haven't. Well, it's been a long time since I've tried uploading to SoundCloud, for reasons we won't get into here. Chilby, still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just reading, and it's like 4 a.m. and I'm starting to like lose energy.
No, you're fine. You're hitting the entry. I get it. We're gonna close it off.
It's been really long.
We're gonna. Yeah, I'm at 4 hours of my recording. This is officially the longest episode of the show. Thank you.
We say that every episode.
Yeah, they keep getting longer. Thank you guys all for watching. We really got to figure out how to cap this stuff. Thank you guys all for watching. Listening. Like and subscribe to my channel. Bandit, where can people find you?
People can find me on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter as Bandit Incorporated, and they can also find my second channel, either linked on my first, it's there on the homepage, which is Bandit Strategy, or you can type in Bandit Strategy, it might come up, maybe, I don't know, it's not that popular yet, so it might not, but that's for other stuff, mostly Australian Survivor at the moment, and
if you look at Bandit Strategy, you get a load of Clash of Clans stuff.
Yeah, so probably better go to Bandit Incorporated, and I've got it linked on the side there. You can just click on it. Trey, where can people find you? Or is it Trilby?
Yeah, there it is. It's Trilby. Yeah, there it is.
You can find my website, www.trilby.com. You can find my podcast, the Film Brits podcast, where the last episode was just dedicated to me talking about Terminator 2. And you can also find me on YouTube at Trilby Reviews, and also on my Patreon, where I'm my patrons who pledge through the months of September and October get a thank you credit at the end of my upcoming short film, and also help to contribute to the project and get behind the scenes footage. So gotta plug that Patreon, yo. And Trey, where can people find you when you're not watching all of the Saw films again 6 times and I'm memorizing all the details?
John Kramer. They can find me on my YouTube channel right here at Podcast Media. They can find me on my Twitter and on my Instagram at Podcast